Good evening. Today is January 29th, and this is the Beaumont City Council workshop session. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 5:05. There is a request from Councilmember Finn to participate via telecommunication for this meeting. Government Code Section 54953 requires a motion of the council before proceeding. Councilmember Finn, could you please state your request?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm requesting this evening to participate via Zoom because of a contagious illness that I have. I currently have one family member above the age 18 that's present here at home with me.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion?
I'll move. So move.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Finn,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Voigt,
Yes.
Mayor Lara.
Yes. So we do have Finn taken care of on absences. Will you please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mayor Pro Tem Voigt?
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
Okay. We need to. So item B, public comment period. Any one person may address City Council on any matter of this agenda. If you wish to speak, please fill out a public comment form provided at the back table and give it to the city clerk. There is a 3-minute time limit on public comments. There will be no sharing or passing of time to another person. State law prohibits the City Council from discussing or taking actions brought up by your comments. Nicole, do we have any requests to speak?
I have no written requests. Mia, do we have any callers on the line?
No callers.
Okay, that brings us to the action items. The action item this evening is the Beaumont Strategic Planning session. So this evening, I just try to set up a few ground rules. Sorry about that. So obviously, this is a council participation item. Just want to make sure we have good, clear communication. If anyone is not clear on what's been communicated, please make sure you raise your hand or flag me down. Councilmember Finn, I'll try to make sure that I keep checking in with you from time to time, make sure in case you have something to say.
Thank you.
Try to stay focused, good active participation. Time management, I was thinking, I'd like to try to shoot for a closure at 8. Does that work for council? Obviously, we just need one speaker at a time so we can make sure that we're all clear on the direction that that individual speaker is providing. This is going to be a little bit different, so we need to be open to some change, and hopefully we have some great outcome during this meeting. Elizabeth, you want to share some expectations for the meeting, please?
Yes. Yeah, Mayor, if you don't mind, can I just go through the agenda real quick so everybody understands what we're doing? And then I'll get into the expectations? Okay.
Sure, you may do so.
So good evening and welcome, everybody. Here's the agenda laid out tonight. I'm going to go through a strategic planning overview. We're going to review council's adopted mission, vision, and values. We're going to review and discuss the community survey results that we put out to the residents. We're going to do a SWOT analysis. We're going to review past targets and goals. And then we're going to establish and prioritize goals. And I'd like to pause here a minute. There are 2 ways that we can do this. One is quicker than the other. When we get to the goals and council prioritization, the standard method is dot exercise. However, I know that in the past it's been indicated that that's not something that council is interested in doing again. The alternative is a forced ranking. And so if we could have a bit of direction and discussion on which way we want to go in that.
Any, excuse me, on that?
On the dot exercise, are you planning to give like three dots of two colors? So we have six options, or are you planning to give five? I mean, what are we looking for? What's the target?
The target is, depending on if council wants to keep any of the current goals, the target is 3 dots for each council member, high, medium, and low. If none of the goals from the current strategic plan roll over, and we'll talk about that before we get to the dot exercise, so you'll know exactly how many goals are left, then we would need more dots. Then we could do 2, 2, and 2.
I'm okay with the dot exercise.
So on the dot exercise, just to clarify, you have a first priority, we each get 3 dots, correct?
Correct. If I'm assuming we're going to roll over some goals.
Okay. And those will limit the number of dots that we receive then?
Correct.
Okay.
And I think we would need to establish some ground rules that this is your priority as a council member, not strategically placing them across the board so that we get more on there. So it would be a personal decision as to what your priority, or not personal decision, but what you felt was the highest priority for the city and move on down from your perspective.
Okay. So, but also, I just want to be clear, we roll over, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry, go ahead.
If we roll over priorities, so let's just say we have 10 priorities, those will be, is that something that we would put a dot on, or those would be okay. And then
They
we
would be mixed in with the new goals.
Okay, so then you would have a list of priorities, and then those are the ones we would add dots to. Councilmember White?
Yeah, I think some of the issues we had with the dots was, like you brought up the strategic, well, if that's that person's number one, then I'm going to pick a different number one. That's why we got 24 in the priority level 1 groups. I almost think the ranking might make more sense, because if you're only getting 3 dots to decide, you're right, there's a whole bunch of these that are 100%, right? There's probably going to be about at least 10 or so that are going to roll over.
Left. So we need to decide if those are ones we want to keep on there.
Yeah, but I think by ranking, then the 4th and 5th place, my 4th or 5th choice has a little more value than, you know, I'm easy though, so you guys do what you want, but I think there's a value in doing the ranking.
Okay, and you brought up a good point, Councilmember White. 4th or 5th choice, there'll be the goal of the ground, I should have mentioned those ground rules, we'll end up with 15 priorities. So we'll have, each council member will have their top 3. Any of the goals that are left remaining, please correct me if I'm wrong, any of the goals remaining would be moved to future, or?
They'll remain important, but not priority.
Okay.
We're trying to establish what the priority is.
But if one of the top 3 of my choices is nobody else's top 3, then I don't know that should be ranked as high as it should. So I think, again, where, you know, we can sort of get down to ranking and then pick the top.
Forced ranking, okay,
Yeah, I just think it makes
Might
it
be
more-
easier with him on Zoom as well,
okay.
because then he's able to say 1, 2, and 3. I mean, I guess you can.
Yeah, I think that'll be easier. Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
And then guys, could you do me a favor when you talk? You got to be closer to the microphone. You kind of fade out.
Yes, sorry.
Is this
Probably
okay?
me.
Oh yeah, much better.
What if we don't want him to hear?
You're so ornery today.
Okay, so forced ranking,
Okay, got that, ladies? I'd like to introduce our Vanna Whites, Julie
Yeah.
and Shannon. Okay, so what we'll do then is we will take a break first and then do the forced ranking, because we have a different system that we're going to set up for that.
okay,
And you'll each get a spreadsheet in front of you that you can do your ranking in front of you, and then we'll verbally tell Nicole, similar to what we do with the applicants for the committees.
okay.
Are you able to email that to David? Okay.
And then after we'll come back, after we do the forced ranking, we'll do a discussion, and then we'll wrap up and we'll talk about next steps, which is the action plan to come back to council. Okay?
Okay.
Mike, yes, Mike went through those, so you can rip that off and keep going.
Councilmember Finn, are you good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first I want to talk about, everybody's been through a strategic planning process, but for the audience watching us online, they may not have. So I'm going to go through a few slides just to talk about what is strategic planning, the purpose, the benefits. So strategic planning is an active process where elected officials interact with the city manager and staff to develop a vision for our community. And Yogi Berra, I think, said it best, the former New York Yankees catcher. If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. And so that's the whole point of a strategic plan, is so we know where we're going. The purpose is to align priorities for the next term, meaning the next budget, discuss key city issues and opportunities, and set goals and define measurable outcomes. Moving on to benefits. The benefits of having a strategic plan, it provides clear guidance and goals of city council to the city manager. It's used as a communication device for staff. It communicates to employees that what they do is important and it has a purpose. It also helps city managers prioritize the work in the organization, and if there's limited financial resources available during the budget process, it gives us the clear direction. It can also help elected officials make decisions on controversial issues. The benefits of having a strategic plan are outlined into 3 categories. It's an accountability tool, a prioritization tool, and a communication tool. So now let's move into the expectations of a strategic planning meeting. Clarify the goals and priorities, ensures productive use of time, aligns stakeholders' perspectives, measures success and accountability, sets the agenda, ensures clear action steps, fosters transparency, and encourages focused and constructive input. Now I'd like to review the adopted mission statement that council has previously adopted. It was also reaffirmed in the 2024-2025 budget book. And I'll read it, and then we can talk about if we want to move on or if there's any tweaking that you'd like to do. The City of Beaumont is committed to providing core services to the community that ensures it remains a desirable place to live, work, and play through responsible and professional leadership and in partnership with local agencies to achieve common goals and leverage area resources. The city will strive to improve the quality of life for all residents living and working in the community. I'll pause in case there's any comments or.
Yeah, I think we can improve on that just a little bit by saying that ensures it remains a safe and desirable place to live, work, and play. To bring in public safety.
You good, Councilmember Finn?
Yes, I agree with what Mr. White said. But one thought I had is that the last sentence where it says for all residents living and working in the community, just the thought of it saying for all residents living, comma, working and visiting the community, perhaps, and encouraging, those coming our way.
We good with that as well? Councilmember White?
I just hate to parse words, but residents visiting? So if you say for all residents living, working, and visiting in the community. Do residents visit their community?
Councilmember Fenn, you're muted.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I didn't realize that, that it conflict with the word residents. But a thought is that we, since one of our goals is to make Beaumont a destination, to have that factored in somehow.
So couldn't you could drop the word residents and instead say living, working, and visiting in the community?
That works. I think that's
Yeah.
a good change.
So I'm just going to repeat the last line. Through responsible and professional leadership and in partnership with local agencies to achieve common goals and leverage area resources, the city will strive to improve the quality of life for all living, working, and visiting in the community. Can I recommend we say all those?
All those. That's what
Yes,
I was gonna
yes.
say.
Yes.
All those living, working, and visiting
The community.
the community.
Okay.
Okay?
You have both of those changes?
The next is the adopted vision statement. So a vision statement is different than a mission statement. A vision statement is what do we want the community to look like in 10, 15, 20 years? The city of Beaumont maintains its reputation as a safe community and evolves to meet the needs of Beaumont's residential and commercial growth. The city strives to create an economically balanced community to achieve fiscal sustainability and ensure that city resources are maximized and deployed in a manner that meets Beaumont's long-term needs, as well as the needs of every citizen, while enhancing and maintaining Beaumont's natural beauty.
Sorry, any comments or thoughts on that?
I think
Mr.
we
Mayor,
did
just
good on that
on
one.
the same line of thinking, what are the thoughts of adding, where it says, as well as the needs of every citizen and visitor, if we want to keep that same thing. Other than that, I think it's great. Or that would be my only change I would recommend.
Are we good with adding the visitor?
Can we just read it really quick again? Sustainability and ensure that city resources are maximized and deployed in a manner that meets Beaumont's long-term needs as well as the needs of every citizen and visitor while enhancing and maintaining Beaumont's natural beauty. Seems a little wordy towards the end. As well as the needs of every citizen. Maybe put ensuring instead of enhancing and maintaining, ensuring Beaumont's natural beauty. I don't know. We add visitor.
I'm sorry, Councilmember
I'm
White?
good with either way.
Councilmember Martinez, anything?
Just trying to figure out if that flows because we're meeting the needs, the long-term needs of our residents or citizens. I prefer residents, but while enhancing and maintaining duty needs of every citizen and visitor.
I think leave as is maybe on this one.
I'm sorry?
My suggestion would be to leave it as is on this one.
I could be okay with that too.
Okay,
I would agree on that one.
we'll move forward.
Okay.
Leave as is.
The last thing I want to review is the adopted values. So values are important when council's faced with decisions. And it's an acronym, ASPIRES. The city of Beaumont aspires to reach new heights. A for accountability, S for stewardship, P to promote trust, I for integrity and ethics, R for responsibility, and E for excellence.
I like it.
I like it. I'm good.
Councilmember White, you good?
Yeah.
Councilmember Finn?
No changes.
We're good.
Okay. Now we're going to move on. Julie is going to share the community survey results with you all. You have the handouts in front of you. You have the survey, and you also have the data.
That's right. So you should have one page front back and then the survey itself. So anticipation of tonight's strategic planning meeting, we launched a community survey last October to gather feedback and insights from residents. And you guys are probably familiar, we did one in 2023 too that helped create this strategic plan that we're reviewing right now. The survey itself was advertised on our city website, social media via posts and ads, in print via the city's city magazine, newspaper ads, flyers, pop-ups, etc. We received 500 responses with priorities and concerns focused in 3 top areas of traffic management, management of growth and development, and shopping and dining. And so as you guys added those tweaks to the mission, it kind of fell right in there. And I think the top 3 categories aren't of any surprise, and they're pretty consistent with the 2023 areas, with the exception of shopping and dining. That was a new category I added for this survey itself. And it just shows there's a strong interest in enhancing our shopping and dining experience. Taking you to that survey results summary page. That first question there, what does Beaumont do particularly well? Public safety is taking the top of that with police and fire, followed by recreation programs. I just covered that second question, and then the third and fourth question, 51% of those responding to the survey rated our quality of services as either good or excellent. So that's pretty good to note that. 77% of those that responded are either neutral, satisfied, or very satisfied with the communication and responsiveness from the city to resident concerns. So I think that's a good nod to our city staff here. There was also an open-ended question, and so I kind of had a 5th question there, just to ensure that we're capturing anything that the survey itself didn't capture. We received roughly 300 responses, so it was not required, but the sentiment of it is in line with what the results were itself. So I have a couple I'd like to read for you. Give me 1 second. Roads need improvement and better traffic flow. We need a Trader Joe's and Target, and we hear a lot of that in the remarks itself, everything from, Costco and such, and then revitalizing our downtown, which should be a priority. So I think it's all pretty consistent with what we've heard informally from the public, whether that be through one-on-one or social media, et cetera. So there is a ranking section, I skipped over that right now, of what Beaumont should focus on in the next 3 to 5 years. The top category was enhancing road and traffic infrastructure. And then there was some, because of I think it was 9 options of ranking, it is very sprinkled, so I didn't want to get any further into those ranking orders. There's some comments on homelessness as a second priority, and some other ancillary sections there as well. So here if you have any additional questions.
Sorry. On the homelessness, it doesn't seem to be, I don't see a lot of homelessness. Do we have numbers that we can discuss tonight or no?
Chief, do you want to give a brief update on homelessness?
We can. Would you like it now? Are we good on that, or, pardon?
We can do it later, probably.
Well, now or later?
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, we can do it now,
Okay.
just briefly.
We just did a recount of all our homeless population in the city, and we had a total of 22. If you compare that to the previous year, we had 17 and 16 the year before.
How does that compare with the surrounding cities?
We're a lot lower than the average. Most of the people you see on the off-ramps, on the sidewalks begging for money are actually not homeless. They usually have homes. That's how they make income. A lot of the homeless people we have, you actually don't see most of the time.
And then we define the differentiation between homeless and transient, right? So transient doesn't go into this account if they're just moving through.
It's synonymous.
That's anonymous, okay.
Any questions for? No? Well, good, thank you. Thank you very much.
Can we ask Julie real quick? Julie, can you go over the ranking system again and how this worked? It
Sure.
says average rank, so I'm assuming if, like where it's a 6.86 on this average rank, is that lower? Is that the lowest then? And
Are you doing the fifth question? The
on
3 to 5
page
years?
3 of 4, yeah. So would the lowest number be the highest rank? So 2.5 on enhancing road and traffic infrastructure, that would be the highest ranked?
Yeah, so it looks like
Yeah.
by average.
Right.
Yeah, 205,
People are putting that as number 2.
but there's not a 1 on there, right?
Because there's not an average of number 1, so some people are picking this one as number 1. There's actually 2 people who think,
Thank you.
Are we good?
We're good. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to get into the fun part. This is council's opportunity to just fire away, and Shannon and Julie will do their best to write down everything that's said. I want to take a step back. I gave you the industry standards for expectations of a strategic planning workshop. I'd like to give council the opportunity to talk and discuss what your expectations are from this workshop.
Okay. Yeah, just go ahead. Mayor Pro Tem?
I can start. I think that my expectations for today is to come out of it with some pinpointed top kind of 5 goals that we're looking at accomplishing within a specific time frame. I think that a lot of things may go out to a 10-year time frame versus what can get done now. So I'm hoping that potentially we can identify, I think Elizabeth just noted that this should be within the budget timeframe. And so, figuring out a way that we can kind of come across with some things that are, doable now.
And just for projects, the council will adopt a 5-year capital improvement project, so keep that in mind.
Okay. Councilmember Finn, you good? Anything yet?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I got a couple things actually. So I appreciate the spreadsheet that we have that shows the strategic plan priority goals. And we have 4 categories, priority, 1 through 4. A thought I had is perhaps maybe we can condense that down to 3. And to go along with Mayor Pro Tem's comments about budget and timeline and so forth, that maybe what could be added to this is a target date to go with it. I know that some of these items are going to come off the list because they're completed. And then my hopes for this evening was reprioritizing what is on that list and then adding, anything new that we can come up with that we feel is a priority. And then addressing some of the ones that are on here that state ongoing, that maybe we reprioritize those as well. For example, we've got 1, 2, 3 of them in priority 1 is ongoing, that maybe those can get, maybe they're re-looked at and they're not considered a top 1 priority, that maybe it's a level 2 or 3, since it's something that we're going to be doing all the time. And maybe just clarifying, what do we mean by priority? So for example, if we went from 4 to 3, or even defining the 1 through 4, is how are we going to quantify what is a priority level 1 goal? Is it something that we have the budget for, that it's fully funded and within a let's say a 1 to 3 year time frame, or within our 5-year capital improvement plan and so forth? And so maybe we can better understand what those categories that we assign a goal to. So that was just kind of my opening thoughts.
Mayor, I can answer that. I'm going to steal an analogy from my colleague to the south. Carol's going to recognize this. Priority 1, think of air, water, and chocolate. Priority 1 is air. You can't live without it. The community can't live without it. At some point, it needs to be done. Priority 2 is water. You can probably go without it for a while, but not forever. And priority 3 is chocolate. Everybody can live without chocolate. It's a priority, but it's not something that absolutely needs to be highest on the list, if that helps at all.
Okay.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, please.
I was going to bring up the ongoing as well, so thank you, Councilmember Fenn, for bringing that up. Are those things that are programmed in currently to continue with staff time? Is staff time already allocated for those that are mentioned in here as ongoing? And is there a way to just separate those out automatically into columns?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When we get to the reviewing of the goals, that's when we're going to go through each of these, and we're going to discuss with council whether or not you want to keep it on the list. It's not going to be prioritized at that point. It's only going to be on the goal list. That's the brainstorming section, the first part of council brainstorming goals. So we'll go through them one at a time when we get to that point, and then you'll be given the opportunity to add new goals.
Mayor, I had a comment or two.
Sure.
So I agree with the ongoing. I think the fact that you can't put a percentage complete on those, I guess they're being treated differently than the ones that are, say, 25% complete or 40% complete. So I don't know if those, I think a goal has to be, what is it? It has to be achievable, measurable, and I don't know how you measure it if it's always ongoing. So Councilmember Finn brought up the question about our prioritizing based on funding. If in my mind, 2 items are equal in priority and one we have the funding for and one we don't, then I would rank that one above the other one. But if I have 2 items that are not equal in priority, and the one that may be lower in priority or significantly lower than my other one, just because it's funded, I don't believe it needs, that item should be moved up. So I think we sort of need to understand what our expectations are as far as the discussion on priorities. Are we going to give more priority to items that are funded? Or are we going to look at more items disregarding the level of funding we have? I think we should not be too concerned about the funding, because if it's our highest priority and there's no funding, it's still our highest priority. We need to make sure that we're focusing on getting the funding for that priority.
Councilmember
Yeah,
Martinez?
that's always been my concern, is because when I look at a list and I say it's top priority, but the funding is definitely nowhere close to being achievable at this point, does it give confusion to the staff of short-term priority versus a long-term priority? You know, because there are going to be things where we can get funding or maybe even use out of, surplus and stuff that we could get done now that might be a high priority. But if you're looking at an interchange project, which obviously has a high priority, but it's a way ongoing thing, does it make sense to staff to put them on the same list?
I think you should have long-term and short-term priorities.
That's what I'm getting at, because I think we should.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think you should have a high priority long-term and a high priority short-term, because the long-term, we know, let's just say Highland Springs, we know that's a top priority. I mean, that's a big top priority. Number 1, 2, 3 maybe. But we know that's an ongoing issue. So that in a long-term category, we always strive to look back and see when we can put stuff into that. But on a short-term level, we might have a priority that is not going to be 10, 15 years, but it might be 3 or 5 years, and therefore we can concentrate. I mean, like you said, the funding will come a little later, but to me, just because I'm kind of visual, I thought it would be easier to have or make more sense to have a long-term and short-term column. Now, I don't know if that creates more confusion.
I think you need to define those.
Well, yeah.
We'd have to
Well,
define those.
another way to look at it, the direction we were given was that these are budget-specific and budget-related. maybe long-term items that can't be done in this budget we shouldn't be talking about tonight. Maybe we should be only talking about projects that either have the funding or we want to focus on getting the funding in the next fiscal year, but should the Beaumont Avenue interchange be a priority on that list?
And I think it also.
Well, that's the parking lot.
That's more CIP, I'm thinking.
Right, and I think it helps the public too, because if we're like down here on priority 3, attractive businesses and stuff, well, we're doing some of that now. So would the public look and say, well, why are they down here on priority 3 when it's far from priority 1? Well, that could be a short-term goal, whereas some of these over here on priority 1 are long-term priority ones, and some of those on 3 might be short-term priority ones. Now, I don't know if I'm creating more of a mess or if it's getting more confusing, but I'm just saying, when you look at 24 level 1 priority goals, and, you know, a few of them are ongoing, I just don't know, you know, and that's why I asked staff. I was asking you to see, what do you think?
It may be helpful to have this discussion after the SWOT analysis to find out what the strengths and weaknesses are and opportunities and threats, because that's what you're going to look at when you're talking about your goals. For purposes of this, it's just really what does council want to get out of this workshop tonight?
Okay.
Okay.
And to Councilmember Martinez's point, maybe it is short and long-term goals. Maybe that's your expectation.
But then on the long term, those would not necessarily be achievable goals, right? So maybe maybe that is something that we do separate. I'm not,
Well, they're just not achievable yet.
right.
That's the whole
Right.
thing on there.
But-
I don't know, in my mind, I think about those as the parking lot. They're things I want to get to, things I don't want to leave off the radar. I want to still throw them on a wall and put them somewhere because
But-
I don't want them to be forgotten.
But are they things that you want to budget money for this fiscal year to advance or
Right.
move forward?
So, something to also consider is if you are entertaining these larger projects, you can consider phases for them. Like, do we want to initiate the project at this time? Do you want
That's a
to
good
get
idea.
through
That's
design
a good
at this
point.
time?
Great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robert.
That helps because I think that sometimes we're like, okay, we're at design, and at least we know that we're moving forward on the project. So maybe our goal is by, the end of this year, we're through phase 1.
So if we did, along those lines, then if we did pick, say, let's just take the parking structure, would you break that up into phases for us? Because,
Yeah, we're
or
looking at it.
is phase 1 typically the design? In other words, because I know council's done a great job of looking at projects and getting them shovel-ready. So would that be, shovel-ready would be a phase 1, or is that too deep into a project?
Yeah. I think it's going to be really specific on the projects that you're picking. If you were to say shovel-ready, that would be, and the project has not been initiated and not funded, that'd be a very hard task for staff to do in a short time. So we could delineate the phases for you if that would help if we get to that point in
I think,
in this
yeah.
workshop tonight.
Yeah, that way, because I think if we have those phases delineated, then we could break it out into bite-sized pieces that are achievable within a certain time frame. Because a strategic plan, is that still going to be a 3-year, or are we going to look at doing that shorter? Same?
I know we did 1 to 3 year the last time. What would you like to see?
2 years. That's my thoughts.
Okay. That's what I was saying.
Mr. Mayor, I would think a 2 or 3 year would be okay.
I just think things change throughout the community sometimes, you start to think that we're going one direction and then we find roadblocks throughout those, that the priorities need to be, and maybe it's not a recreation, it's just a reprioritization at 2 years, which I'm sure is essentially what we're doing tonight, but.
So the expectation is a 2-year strategic plan.
I don't know, from a staff point of view, if that 2 years. I see what you're saying. I think it makes sense, but from your point of view, is that enough time to really vet out and come back and revisit, or is it 3 year more?
No, it's 2 years.
All right,
Yeah.
2 years after that.
We're gonna talk about strategic plans more just because this document needs to be more of a living,
Yeah.
breathing. It needs to be in every conversation. It needs to be in the state of the city. It needs to be in every presentation for the buy-in from the public.
So is there a consensus with 2 years for the council?
I'm okay with it.
You good?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you say 2 years, you mean we want to take some action on that project or the item within the next 2 years?
No, I
Is
think
that what you mean by 2 years?
No, I think the strategic plan, the goals we're setting with the levels and the priorities are gonna stay the same for the next 2 years. In my mind, gives them time to work on the projects that we have and to have a focus, and then at 2 years, we come back and we would reevaluate.
So we do a strategic plan every 2 years is
Yeah,
what you're saying?
exactly.
That's fine.
Yep, so we're 2 years on the time frame. With time frame. On our expectations, are we looking at, which I thought was a good idea, the goals need to be achievable? Do we want to add that as far as an expectation as we're going through this?
And the hope is they're all achievable. At
Well, I
some
think
point.
like I said, a definition of a goal is that it is
Okay.
achievable
Specific.
and it's measurable.
Specific, yeah.
Measurable too.
And it's definable too. You have to be able to define it.
I think too, my expectation for today is kind of like Robert just did, and this is for me. But I want it to be a dialogue, right? Jump in too. I mean, I don't know, that's my perspective. Obviously, you guys are gonna get council's perspective, but asking the question, is that doable? Is this something staff can do? I think is an important component of this
That's why
as
the
well.
team's here.
Yeah, so making sure that you guys have the voice and are empowered to speak up, I think is important as well.
Good point. Any additional comments on expectations?
Okay.
We're good on expectations?
Let's get into the SWOT
Excellent.
analysis. So SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. There's also a trend out there that threats are challenges, and so people are talking about SWOC analysis. So keep that in mind, your threats are challenges. The purpose is to assess the internal and external factors that impact the city's ability to achieve the council's vision. And it's used as a baseline and guide the development of the strategic plan. So, again, Shannon and Julie are here to take the notes, fire at will, but to give you just some prompts to get you thinking about what are strengths. They're internal factors, number one. So strengths strengths and weaknesses are internal factors. And some of the things that, when you think about strengths, what does the city do really well? What unique resources or capabilities do we have that maybe our neighbors don't have? What positive community feedback have we received? For example, in your survey, public safety and fire safety were all positive. What are our strongest services or infrastructure? So what do we do well? What's unique about us? Where are we strong? And where does the community see positive? I could give you one. Strategic location, 106079. That's a strength.
I think you said public safety. I think that would be a number one that I would put up there. I also think our programs, so our Parks and Rec programs, I think we have a very robust Park and Recs program from my perspective.
This is Shannon's first time, so.
I think our finances are pretty strong.
Good financial policies?
No.
Well, more dollar, no, more,
Revenue streams?
we're just black and red, you know?
More positive.
I mean, our
Black and-
policies
black
get
and
us
red.
there. I'm just saying financially, we're
Yeah,
pretty
stable.
well set.
You know what I mean?
I guess reserves, our reserves are pretty strong.
Reserves are strong. One of the things that I think council does really well is you're very community-focused.
Yeah.
I think we have a really strong public information campaign now.
Yes.
You don't need to worry about saving paper.
Councilmember Finn, are you good?
You know, yeah, I was listening. I'd agree with everything that's been said so far, but I do think we do well with our wastewater treatment plant. I think we've got a great facility, and I think it's run really well.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed it came low on the survey, but I kind of wonder if people really understand what that is. So,
No, they
yeah, I don't really see that as a negative, so I agree with you.
You'd be surprised when I was doing customer service, how many times people would call and say, what is sewer? What am I paying for?
No.
Right.
And then, Mr. Mayor, to add what Elizabeth mentioned about location, I would just say overall affordability compared to, Southern California.
Okay.
Affordability? Oh,
We heard that today.
All right.
He said that
Yeah,
today.
we did.
adaptable? What about adaptable?
I was gonna say resilient also. I think this is a,
It's okay, we won't judge.
That's it. Don't ask me.
IENT, I think.
I told Shannon she could abbreviate. She's a former dispatcher, and so she does a lot of abbreviations. Anything else?
Good list.
Like we're present too. I feel like the council is present.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where we go, we try to be places and be present.
Invested?
Yeah.
Anything else that you think is helping the city succeed?
Sales tax. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
revenue stream. So the revenue stream.
Revenue stream.
Is working well, so I do agree with that.
Revenue stream.
I mean,
You can start a new one too.
I
Shannon.
think our grants also, we had a lot
Oh,
of
great point.
increases with our grants over the last year.
Is there anything unique about us?
Well, I was gonna say for strength, we have an excellent staffing and employee, base. We have a lot of our people that are getting awards, and a lot of them are advancing, with further credentials and so forth. So, I mean, that helps the city when you're trying to, do positive things. You have a strong workforce. So I think that's important.
And to go along with that, I think our staff is very engaged with the public. Many of our staff live, in Beaumont or in our neighboring cities, and treat it as if it was their own home and so forth. And so, I think staff's treatment of the public and reaching out is a strength.
I think our demographic is also a strength of the city as well. So disposable income, it's a fairly young city. Supposed to be in town.
I think a strong sense of community, you know, when we're out and about, we really get that. Even though we have had an extreme amount of growth, we still have that sense of community, be able to maintain that sense of community. Are we good, Council?
Let me know when you're ready to move on.
I'm ready to move on. Are we ready to move on?
Okay.
Excellent input, guys.
Now the
Folks.
opposite, our weaknesses. So what are internal factors that are hindering progress? One of the ones that I can think of, to give an example, is our lack of local jobs.
Yeah.
I agree. Or at least diversity
Or-
in local jobs.
Limited job market.
Availability, diversity.
Yeah,
and that.
yeah, limited.
Mhm.
Local employment.
You're talking about leakage of jobs, not
Correct.
work here,
Correct.
lack of jobs here in Beaumont for our citizens.
Keeping them here, keeping our dollars here.
Well, I think along those lines, we have leakage of tax dollars.
Yep.
So going outside for dining, going
Shopping.
outside for
Mhm.
shopping, going outside for,
Sales tax leakage.
Yeah.
I think one of our strengths is that we have a lot of projects that are going on, but one of the weaknesses can be project management of all of those projects. So as you have a lot of balls in the air, it's difficult to keep them all afloat. So to me, I think one of our weaknesses is continuing to push maybe a little harder on something. So maybe project management to a certain extent.
Or project backlog.
Yeah.
What about limited access to public transportation?
I would certainly agree with that one.
Yeah, public transportation. Transportation.
We also have a weakness with the design of the way our roads are set up. I mean, you know, we've only got 2 or 3 ways to get to one side or the other, and that creates a lot of bottleneck and issues because you can't diversify what you need because you only have a certain way to get there. And you have to work with what we have. We can't create roads at this point, but we can fix what we have. But to me, I don't know if that's a threat or a weakness. It could be both. But it's a weakness because it is what it is now, and there's no way we can fix that. We can improve on what we got, but we can't, make a new road going through a neighborhood or something. So I find that as being difficult to set up businesses in certain places because of access to them. And so
It's also number one on our list of things Beaumont needs to improve on.
yeah, but I guess it is a part of the
Traffic management.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and also a lack of commercial choice. I mean, that's the number one I hear is people are upset because they don't have choice of where to go for either with dining options or retail options or so forth. And again, I don't know if that's a threat or not, because I get a little confused on the two, but I do know it's one of our weaknesses. I mean, we just don't. If you look at it, we don't. So that's a weakness, is we don't have that 7,000 different places to choose from. So, and that's why we get the leakage. So it goes with that.
Residents depend on other cities for retail and shopping.
Choice.
Yeah.
We also don't really have a strong voice in Sacramento.
That's true.
And all of the mandates coming down from Sacramento are weaknesses for us.
Yeah, they do create barriers. I think some of our parks facilities, and I know we're doing the parks master plan, but, you know, restrooms, things along those lines at parks, people are always looking for that.
Limited access or facility condition?
I would say condition
Okay.
or amenities, like she wrote up there.
I think we learned recently we don't have enough pickleball courts.
Is that a weakness?
Depends on
Well,
which way
maybe
you're
it
looking at
is, yeah. A variety of yeah, outdoor areas, walking trails, things along those lines.
We don't have enough, I mean, one of our strengths was affordability, but we don't have enough affordable
Affordable housing.
housing.
I agree with the survey. Civic gathering areas is a big problem.
Oh, yeah.
You know, one community center for a town this big that's bad. That's difficult to deal with.
I had a call over the weekend, somebody's asking if we're ever going to build an event center.
Yeah. We take donations, I think. But,
Shopping and dining options.
is that what I said?
Do we have that?
You can subdivide it too, I guess.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can add it. It's okay if it overlaps. Yeah.
I don't know if this would be a weakness or a threat, but without pointing out specifically, navigating other government entities? Governmental relations?
Threats are external, weaknesses are internal, so I think that could be both. Do you want to move on to opportunities, and if you think of another weakness, we can always come back?
Sure.
Okay. So opportunities are external, the next two are external factors. What are opportunities, external factors that the city can capitalize on?
I think partnerships,
Partnerships?
yeah. So continued collaboration with neighboring areas, along with other governmental entities.
Jen, can you add with other government entities?
I mean, we have an opportunity to expand our commercial, area, our commercial footprint. It's a weakness because we don't have it now, but I would consider it an opportunity because we have land and areas for it and within the sphere.
weather, would that be an I mean, we got great weather here, but, probably nothing we can control, so we'll put that.
You want it as a, you think weather is a positive?
Oh, yeah.
You think that's
definitely.
that's a external strength, so we could leverage the weather, the great weather for outdoor activities?
There you go.
Road and bridge development fees is an opportunity.
For weakness, I forget, we didn't mention the, multi-housing options. Remember, we had talked about a lack of housing for upcomers and younger couples, younger, individuals.
Affordable housing.
Oh, is that what that one is?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I must have dozed off a second. Okay.
I think opportunities are also grant expansion or looking for alternative funding.
Yes.
Good.
I'm going to jump in. I'm not sure if this would be more of an internal or external thing, but we have in the pass area now enough rooftops that we've got the attention of major retailers and so forth. And so I think that we could leverage off of that, and work towards more economic, opportunities coming our way.
I think all of our opportunities are our weaknesses. I think all of our weaknesses are opportunities.
Yep, it's just developing a plan to make that their strength.
Right.
What about emerging industries or industries that we don't have here, like medical?
Yeah.
To diversify it, you mean? Like diversify our industries?
If we had more office buildings, we could have more local jobs that
Right.
pay to work here in
Right.
Beaumont, rather than just minimum wage jobs.
We talked about secondary education opportunities, satellite type things as well.
Could be a weakness that we have no, well, I mean, we don't have no higher education. There's partnerships with San Jacinto, but
Well, the weakness is we don't have it already developed. You'd have to develop the place to put it.
brick and mortar.
Yeah, if we had had a building where we can maybe move it in, then it would be easier. Well,
Did you get all that, Shannon?
secondary, move off this more, medical.
Anything else?
Do we have any opportunities for, no, I'm not gonna say that. Never mind. I'll keep my mouth shut on that one.
Well, and with the weakness of affordable housing, we have the opportunity to expand that affordable housing because we have land still. So, well, or at least a sphere. We don't have the land, but I mean.
I decided that wasn't the best thing to say.
Are we good with opportunities?
Shall we move on to threats and challenges? So threats and challenges are again an external factor. They're external factors that could negatively affect the city's goals. An example is a state mandate,
Natural disaster.
natural disaster.
I'm gonna throw it out there and say Union Pacific Railroad.
I was gonna say, other entities. Or I was gonna say competing priorities for other entities.
Another one would be, I don't know how to put this. Exorbitant growth from our neighbors. So we've had our heyday in terms of residential growth, but now we're seeing a lot of our neighbors with a lot of residential housing growth. And that will impact us as well.
Probably should have put that on opportunities as well, because we have the opportunity to
Captivate.
provide the commercial for
Their
our neighbors.
leakage.
Yeah,
Another threat and challenge is transportation infrastructure funding. And our county fire contract
Oh,
is a threat and a challenge.
I couldn't hear you.
Or annexation
Annexation.
share
Oh,
agreement.
the master annexation agreement. How about a recession?
Well, I was gonna say state and federal funding sources is a threat, depending on how budgets are slashed or what comes up. You know, we have a lot of these grants we were looking forward to, or things, but you never know who's cutting what. So that's a threat.
Our wastewater permitting.
That's a good one.
Wastewater permitting?
It's always been a challenge for as long as I've been here working with our neighbors.
Environmental regulations,
I know, I was gonna say CEQA
CEQA,
or NEPA.
NEPA.
Mitigation measures.
Burrowing owl.
What'd you say?
Burrowing owl. It's a big one. You guys laugh at
Don't
it.
jinx it.
How about endangered species, that way we don't single out
Oh, yeah.
the
we
owl?
The
can
poor
always say-
owl.
Be equal opportunity.
Our sanctuary city status. You didn't think we were going to keep politics out of this, did you?
No.
We just wait. Thank you.
We
But that's
were
why
hopeful.
I mentioned the grant issues. You
Yeah.
never know. You know.
Any more on threats and challenges, or should we move on? And then we can, and
Yeah.
anytime something comes up, we can always go back and add it.
If you think of something, we'll add it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to review the 5 targets that were set in the previous strategic plan. I'd like to know, or I'd like to have a discussion with council on whether or not you want to change those in any way, shape, or form. So these were initially adopted in January 2023 after a strategic planning session with our HR consultant. Target 1 is communication and relationships. Target 2 is infrastructure, projects and traffic. Target 3 is economic development in downtown. Target 4 is finances and resources. and target 5 is quality of life and well-being. And if you look at some of the strengths and weaknesses that we have up here, almost all of these would fit into one of these categories. Any discussion on these?
I think we've made a lot of progress on target 1. And I think I'd probably move the target 2 up, infrastructure, projects, and traffic.
Do you want that to become target 1?
That's
Are
just
the-
my thought.
Is that, are the targets priority?
No, they're
No.
just.
They're like
cate-
pillars.
They're
They're pillars,
categorized,
yeah.
but I,
Oh,
I've
they're
often
not
thought
priority,
that,
then
No.
it doesn't matter then, right?
Yeah.
No, just, do we want to keep the same number of
Yeah,
targets?
Same targets,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm good with
I'm
them.
good with
Yeah,
targets.
I think we're all good with that.
okay.
Yeah, the only,
Councilmember Finn?
Yeah, same here. I just was thinking it was a priority, and I was going to agree with Lloyd to say put infrastructure at the top. But if they're all equal in terms of a target, then that's okay to leave it as is.
so are
If
we?
it's easier to think of it that way, we can certainly do that.
It doesn't matter to me.
That was my.
I don't think at this point it would matter
No.
because we'll be discussing ranking at this point, and I think it'll
I think it'll
detract.
confuse it, yeah.
My question is for public safety, are we putting that under quality of life?
Yeah, I think
That's where I was.
Is that what we're trying to put?
that's where it is.
All right.
Okay, moving on. So we're going to review each of the target areas. The first target area is communications and relationships. There were 3 priority levels: continue pop-ups, community visits and education, increase public communication and education, develop a strategy. And the last one in priority level 1 was develop a system of proactive communication related to traffic and other topics, in other words, an app, and possible staffing increase. So we do have the app, however, we don't have the staffing increase. So my question to you on each of these is, do you want to keep those as your goals and add, when we get to the goal section, we'll add, or do any of these that we're talking about, do you want to drop off? So let me finish with priority level 2. There was not a priority level 3 in this target. There was a priority level 4. Priority level 2, develop funding sources for community events. Priority level 4, strengthen relationships with other community leaders and develop staff peer-to-peer relationships, internal and external. And so priority level 4, in my mind, those are not necessarily budgeted items that would go into the budget. We do add local meetings into the budget, so staff goes to chamber events, things like that. Those would be ongoing.
Right.
Those are not something that would ever end.
In my opinion, we have hit all of these. So the pop-ups and community visits and education, I think, are ongoing and something that's been programmed in. We brought in a PIO, she's developed a strategy, and now that becomes ongoing, in my opinion. Develop a system of proactive communication. Everbridge came back. I think you guys have been managing that well and is also ongoing. Develop funding sources for community events. That to me is an ongoing thing that goes along with budgeting for that. Strengthening relationships with other community leaders, I think, is an ongoing goal as well. And develop, the peer-to-peer relationships are also ongoing, and you guys have built those in. So to me, looks like we've nailed all these.
On the third bullet point on priority level 1, what possible staffing increases have we not achieved that you think that I mean, that was your comment, right? Was that we've become proactive with a new PIO, but possible staffing increases? What are you thinking about there?
Adding to the communications department. Julie's a one-man show right now.
Okay.
I think that comes at in my opinion, that comes at the staff level of you guys bringing that to us. I don't think that necessarily needs to be a council goal, in my opinion, but that's just my thought.
So what I'd like to do is we're talking and we're working through this. I'd like for Shannon and Julie to add the ones you want to keep on the white paper so that we can mix those in with the new goals.
Now, we're not discussing priority level, right? It's
Not
just-
right now.
Okay, that's
No.
what
Just if you wanna
I wanted to make sure that
No,
we were just
this
talking
is a
about.
deck of cards that's all gonna get shuffled, and we're gonna do the priorities at the end.
Good, okay.
So you're talking about keeping those items that are still ongoing?
I'm asking council whether they're ongoing or not, which ones of these do you want to keep on the next goal-setting exercise? If council is comfortable with where we're at with all of these, that's not to say that we wouldn't continue doing them. They would just not add to the choices of priorities.
So I guess that's where I need a little bit of clarification, because I agree that we've hit all these, but they will remain ongoing as a part of what we do on a daily basis, so, or what we do continuing moving forward. So I just don't know if those would need to be on our priorities?
I see what you're saying. Because if we had like an ongoing column and then made new priorities, then you could always refer and say, okay, these were hit, but they're ongoing. But I'm afraid that if it drops off, we don't want it to not keep up.
Okay.
That,
Do you want us to separate out the ongoing and not include those, just for visual, but not include those in your goal setting? Your
Right.
prioritization?
Right.
That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I agree on that too, and I think they're all ongoing. And I don't want to lose focus on them, but then we don't have to readdress the goal every time.
Right, because if
But
they-
I'm not so sure I would downplay them and not continue to focus on them as goals, priority goals, to continue to do what we're doing here. These are all the kinds of things that you want to keep doing. Maybe when we get to target 2, 3, and 4, they're different. But I think with all of these are ones that even though we've met them and we've hit them,
well, that's
we
why
want to
we,
continue.
That's why we're
to-
saying move them to an ongoing
Ongoing column.
pile and not included in our prioritization strategy.
unless you want
So
to
they're still
expand them.
important. They're still important, but they don't get mixed up in your ranking.
Would you put a sticker on one of those? Because we've already.
I think some of those are more important than some of the things that we're going to be prioritizing.
So are you suggesting that we do more in that area? Because
I'm saying that we don't drop these
Yeah, but we're
as
not going to
priorities.
drop
I'm
them.
not saying move, I'm saying don't move them to a special category of ongoing. They still need to be a focus. They still need to be a goal that we're trying to accomplish every year. Or in this budget year, right? So we want to make sure that when we look at the budget, that we're still have the goal of continuing the pop-ups and not focusing on the non-ongoing stuff. Just,
Well,
that's
see-
what I do. I mean, when I set goals at work, that's it. There are some goals that are always high priorities, but they're something you do every year.
Well, I think that's the question about what's this goal supposed to look like, because if you've got, 6 goals that we've all achieved at a level we're comfortable with, and we want to keep going at that level, then we've met them and we're ongoing. But if there's one that we met it, but we'd like to see more on, then we might keep it on the priority list because we want to do more there. But if you have 6 of them that are ongoing and now you're going to have more add to it, how do we know if this number one needs more attention than that number one, unless you're saying they're all number one and they all need to stay there? That's the only thing I'm trying to figure out is for staff's sake and our sake, is like if I've got, because we haven't got to the priority level yet. But, no, I'm not saying they should come off, but I think that's the question you're having is, where are they going to be? Is it going to be an ongoing? So how do we know what priority? Because we don't want to forget about it. And we don't want another number one.
We don't
to
want
go
one of
over.
those goals next year to have gone down because
Right.
it wasn't a primary goal.
No, I see what you're saying. I'm just trying to visually see how that's going to look.
Maybe another way to ask is it already programmed or is it already in somebody's job description? If it's already in somebody's job description, then it's been done, right? You can check that off. It's been done. It's written into somebody's job.
I think you can check off projects, but these kinds of goals, you can't check them off. In this first page, I think if you look at the next ones, but the target one, they all look like,
Well, the relationship ones, sure. Those ones for sure.
So let's leave them like they are, and we'll see how that shakes out at the end. I understand what you're saying, because pop-ups in the park needs to be continually funded each and
It
every
needs to be
year.
a priority on the budget at some point, either low priority or a high priority on the budget.
And then it, as it sits there in its priority, if times get tough financially, then maybe, you drop off the priorities that you don't want to fund, and then that list maybe even gets smaller. And so you financially,
Well, that one item, bullet point 3, is not an ongoing if we're looking at increasing staff, right?
it still needs staff, yeah, so that's gonna
So
need
that's not
funding.
one that we're going to make ongoing.
That's what I'm saying. So that one's not technically completed yet, so that would stay there because we still haven't achieved the desire we're looking for. So, all right, well,
What-
I agree, leave them there.
What do you think of moving the top two under priority level 1 to priority level 2, since they've been achieved, still need funding, and the system number 3, bullet point number 3 moves?
I think that makes more sense than an
Mayor, I'd like to-
ongoing category.
I'd like to caution you, because if you're prioritizing now, we haven't got to the new goals yet. And remember the deck of cards, you're gonna
Okay.
shuffle all of these goals with the new goals,
Okay,
and then you're gonna prioritize them.
so I think we just leave them as they are then, because
I
they-
think a priority level 2 or level 4 is an ongoing.
Okay,
Well, maybe that's what we do then. Ongoing becomes level
When
4.
we do the prior, when
Yeah.
we do the prior.
Ongoing becomes 4.
okay. that makes
That's a way to think about it.
sense. Okay. All right, so we'll
Okay.
leave this one as is for right
Yeah,
now?
so we're gonna add these to your goals, your goal list. Okay, target number 2 is the famous infrastructure projects and traffic, the one that everybody loves. Develop an entry monument and Sixth Street improvements. We do have an entry monument, but we have not completed Sixth Street improvements. Develop Second Street extension, that still needs to be constructed. Develop Potrero interchange, that's close to shovel-ready. Develop Pennsylvania grade separation, that is in design. Redesign of Sixth Street downtown. Develop Highland Springs interchange. Develop Oak Valley Parkway interchange, and the 2 that have been completed are a signal at First and Beaumont Avenue 79, and then First in Pennsylvania. So those are crossed off.
Can I ask about entry monuments and Sixth Street improvements? Are those just funded and not completed yet? Is that funded and not completed? There we go.
The Sixth Street improvements, I think, is tied to the downtown revitalization plan.
Do you want to separate those out and maybe take off the discussion that I recall from the last strategic session that we did at Holiday Inn? Council envisioned entry monuments at all of our gateways, and technically we have one right now. So that's something to consider when council's considering whether or not to leave it on or take it off. You can also separate these, and you can also rename them.
I would like to separate the 2, develop entry monuments, make that, and then pull out and make Sixth Street improvements a separate goal.
Do you want to quantify the location, or do you want it Highland Springs to 10 Freeway?
That's what I was gonna ask, because you have redesign of Sixth Street downtown here. So do we lump it all as one? Well, my thoughts were the center divides is what we were talking about
Well,
there
that's
in
where I
Sixth
went.
Street. So when I was looking at that, I thought, okay, develop the entry monument and the improvements down Sixth Street. So that's why in my mind I thought, oh, that one's done.
Right, that's what I thought.
Versus entry monuments throughout the whole city. Because when I'm thinking about, Oak Valley Parkway, we're gonna get potentially get a monument there. We're gonna get a monument at Beaumont Point. We are essentially getting a monument with Highland Springs. So, does that satisfy what we're looking for?
And there's the north end of the city. There was discussion previously with a monument on Beaumont Avenue.
Oh yeah, didn't we have one with the agency?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to check things off, so to me, I just want to cross it off. That's the honest
So-
truth.
How about if we do develop entry monuments at Beaumont Avenue North, Sixth Street West, is that? And
Probably still need Beaumont South, though. Beaumont Avenue South,
Beaumont Avenue, yeah, Beaumont Avenue South.
coming in from
So
79.
develop entry monuments with, in the locations, that's all just this one goal,
Okay.
right? Okay. Did I miss the location? North, South, Beaumont Avenue, and West Sixth Street.
Could that be grouped with the downtown revitalization street plan? Because it's really gonna be a all-in design, landscaping, potentially roundabouts.
For the west one you're talking about, not for the 79.
It'll be a portion
monuments.
of Beaumont Avenue, and then Sixth Street from I-10 all the way to, I wanna say Xenia.
So
Might capture it.
what I'm envisioning is the monument itself is already designed, right? We would use the same one that we have on Sixth Street East? And it would just be a matter of finding the locations to put those, or are you seeing something different than that? Are you,
It certainly could be, and we can like cookie cutter from the East Side Monument and put that, integrate it into the design for the downtown revitalization plan. Are you wanting to expand that to further locations, like North Beaumont?
well, based
where the
on
other
what you're
agencies-
saying, maybe we leave the one west monument with the downtown revitalization, but not tie the North and South Beaumont Avenue to it, because they're kind of, to me, they're outside that scope, but I don't know what council is thinking, or what your thoughts are on that, or? if-
I don't want to sound negative, but to me, I think that we have other priorities than the monument.
Okay.
North and south, not to say not to,
Well,
feel
the
bad
priority-
about that, but,
We'll do the numbering later.
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll shuffle the
So-
deck later.
So we just want to know how that's
Put it
going
up
to
Good
there.
point, good point.
So we know who's not
Rain
rooting for
cloud.
one on that.
You can tell that that's not a priority of mine.
Can you
Okay.
bring that slide back up? Whoever's doing the. So let me ask you, Robert, let's look at develop Pennsylvania grade separation as an example. So developing that is going to 10, 15-year project, right?
I think that one's more achievable than that, maybe 5 years.
Right, but where are we in that process? In other words, what's our next benchmark? That could be the goal rather than
The phase.
I agree.
develop the whole
Renaming
thing.
it, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about when we talk about a 2 or 3 year
I agree.
time frame.
Yeah.
So if we look at the Potrero interchange, for example, there, by the end of this budget cycle, we want what to have been accomplished. We don't expect Potrero interchange to be done in 1 year, but we do expect.
For 2 years. Don't we?
Right, but what I'm saying is we can make a goal, our goal should be a phase of these
Right.
projects.
That goes back to the SMART, specific, measurable.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Making them more specific does help the public understand that develop, like Councilmember White said, develop Pennsylvania grade separation. Well, public thinks that's going to happen next year, but if you put in there
We'll have the design stage done
finished
by then.
design,
Yeah.
complete design.
40%. If it was 100% completion, if we could range it from that, maybe.
Yeah, so specific to Pennsylvania grade set, just to make it known, is we're within a year of it being shovel ready, and then, construction pending funding occurs after that.
And when you say shovel ready, you mean construction bid?
Yeah, construction ready to bid.
So do we want to use that as a phase?
I think construction begins should be a goal. I mean, that's a goal we can measure. That's a goal we could possibly do in the next couple
2
of years. No. Pennsylvania grade separation, you can't start construction that soon.
No.
I think that's what you just said.
Yeah.
There's no funding.
Yeah,
that's what he
Within
just
a
said.
year,
Yeah.
with one large caveat, and that's
We need-
funding.
$60 million.
We need $60 million.
So in 1 year, or the end of the year, we could possibly finish the design and have it shovel-ready would be a phase. And then funding would be the holdup, obviously, the gap.
Seeking funding.
And then construction would be the third phase or the third leg of that. Do I understand that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe the funding is the goal.
Yeah.
That's our primary goal. And that's, we can reach that goal by reaching out to our legislative contacts and lobbyists.
So change that to fund 100%.
I mean, that's going to hold everything up.
It
Well,
is.
I don't know. Do you fund the whole project always 100% at the start, or do you?
Yeah, prior to construction,
Yeah, but that would be like a third phase, you said.
yeah, during,
Well,
at the end,
Right.
at the end of RTL, which is ready to list, you would need to have that funding in place and ready to go.
You can't go out to bid without
Yeah.
it.
How close are we to finishing design? Because that seems to have been kind of a struggle.
Yeah, so we were targeting September of this year. That is still a possibility, but it is not very plausible. And I was hoping to bring an item back and kind of discuss what's going on with that. We're thinking March of 2025, so a few months setback. And that's really tied to the TSEP grant that we're applying, making sure we're ready to list by the time that is in effect.
2026, to verify, March of 2026 or
No,
March of 2025?
So, but with that project, aren't we going to have to get some work done by our favorite railroad?
Yeah, so we're currently working with them, and unfortunately, that's one of the issues we're encountering. That project alone has Caltrans, UPRR, a lot of heavy utility relocations, and they're all conflicting right now.
So I think, at least from what I'm hearing, develop the grade separation. I think a goal would be shovel-ready. So then,
Well, you're saying you think shovel-ready is in 2 months? Or design is done in 2 months?
No, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, 2026.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
March of 2026, yeah. I apologize for that.
So yes.
yeah, so that would
shovel-ready.
be shovel-ready would be the goal to put at this point, I think.
Yeah, that's what it
So Pennsylvania grade separation, shovel ready.
Parentheses.
And what about Potrero? Do we want complete construction? Or is there a way to benchmark and do a phase on that?
I think that construction is in the works. We are going to be RTL in end of February of this year, 2025, sorry. And then there'll be a brief period where we are securing financing and approving, obligating the funds through the CTC. And we're still on track to start construction in September of this year. So I
So, yeah, I
think that,
think that
that
one's-
started.
That train's going.
So is it a priority now that it's actually just going? I mean, it's going to happen,
Well,
right?
yeah, if there's nothing else.
To
we
me,
can
my
do.
mind's already past it.
Yeah,
Do you want to take it off the list?
Probably,
yeah, I think
Okay.
we should.
unless there's any step that we still need to focus on.
Do you want it in ongoing though? So that it doesn't
No,
not
I
become
don't want
a
ongoing.
priority?
The project is fully funded.
Yeah.
Was.
We need to go out to bid to actually get the actual cost for it. There may be some consideration if it's not a priority and funding is required, how that's addressed.
So we should leave it on with
Yeah,
construction.
it needs to be there.
Do you want to leave it on the list until it
Yeah.
goes out to
Yes.
bid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still, because that's a priority.
That's
It can drop off, at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Let
Okay.
use one of your stickers on that one.
Only yours. Just kidding.
Okay, so we're gonna
No,
leave
I-
Potrero on. Oh. We haven't talked about those yet,
So
too.
Second Street Extension. Give us your spiel on that one.
Yeah, we got great news. So February 4th, still tentative. We're closing that out. We should be awarding to the lowest responsive bidder for construction, fully funded.
Okay.
So then the question is, should that one fall off?
Do we want to move the owls on there?
We are trying to jump ahead of
As a
the
phase.
As of right now, we're good.
I don't believe there was any on the.
There were none.
We're sticking with that story?
So, the funding, how is that, what's happening in Washington impacting the funding? Because we won't,
So-
you have it ready to go to bid, but we really can't go to bid because we don't have a lock yet on the funding till, I think it was March 17th, and then they'll start.
That's
to
been
sort of-
rescinded. President Trump rescinded his.
Okay.
Actually, he rescinded the memo.
Okay.
They did not rescind the requirements of the funding. At least that's the way it was clarified today.
Okay.
They rescinded the memo that they gave, but they said they're still sticking with that. But I think that's a day-to-day change.
Yeah, so it
Oh, it
should,
needs to stay then.
I don't want to pull it off, or do we want to pull it off?
Make it construction, right? And then it can fall off.
Are we good with that?
What do you?
I don't think our priorities would change because it's going to be harder to get the funding for these things.
Okay.
I think it's still a high priority, but
Well, it needs to stay, right? We're just trying to
Well, yeah,
decide, does it
just-
stay
yeah,
or
we're not
does it
doing
go?
It stays,
priorities.
okay.
Yeah.
So just
We could
Got
sing a song. Does it stay or does it go?
ready to prioritize. That's what it is, prioritize.
so on that target 2, do we got all the ones that we've decided on there?
Can we-
Unfortunately, we haven't pulled anything off yet.
Okay, I just want to make sure we haven't.
The only thing we've done is modify
Right.
and removed Sixth Street improvements. So develop an entry monument program, we'll call it. Develop Second Street extension, that stays. Pennsylvania grade sub stays. Potrero stays. Sixth Street downtown, I'm assuming stays.
Well, I have a question on that. One of the concerns that I have looking at Sixth Street redesign is, well, and I guess we could move forward, if we kept it, we'd move forward with the traffic study. And the reason I bring it up is anytime that we have any external traffic issues on the 10 or the 60 or the 79, Sixth Street gets slammed. And the concern that I have is any potential redesign, kind of going back to Councilmember Martinez's point, that's just that's a main connector to the city, going from one end to the other. We don't have, we don't have any other connection that would take its place at this point.
Would it change when the Potrero interchange is in place and Second Street's punched through and we've started the grade separation on Pennsylvania? I mean, those are all going to improve the traffic area, so I don't know that a traffic study we need, I thought we already had that in there somewhere. No, when do we do our next traffic study? Don't we do them every 5 years or something like that?
You mean a
It's for-
citywide?
Yeah.
This would be a specific one, though. right?
Yeah, we do speed surveys every 5 years, which just establishes the, speed limits. We are considering the CIP amendment that will fund the design, the preliminary design for downtown revitalization on the 4th, and you'll have an opportunity to approve that. And that's all the traffic, hydrology, all of the supporting studies for that,
The downtown.
the downtown, including the design of the roundabouts, or consideration for those.
Okay, so we will leave it then.
You're not looking for new ones on here yet? correct?
Not yet. So everything
Stays.
stays.
Yes.
Okay.
To make it easy. We need
Okay.
Stickers.
Next one is easy. There's only 2. Expand the police station, develop plan to deploy recycled water.
They stay.
Say,
Yeah.
Priority level 4, develop California Avenue grade separation, achieve rail transit stop, and develop Pennsylvania ramps. Stay?
Do the
I'll stay.
Pennsylvania ramps go with the SEP, or no, they're two separate?
Yeah, it's two separate, and they're 100% contingent on finishing the grade sep.
First,
Yeah,
so they do
first.
stay low priority.
I don't think achieve a rail transit stop is doable.
Okay. You want to take it off?
RCTC is at least 3 or 4 years from the second environmental being done to determine where to put the stops. And the actual stops are probably, I would say 4/5 of us up here are gonna be gone by the time the actual stops come through. I don't mean off council either, I mean gone.
Speak.
a
Well, you didn't include me in those
on that cheery
numbers.
note,
That's a little morbid.
Thank you.
I just think that should be taken off.
okay.
Consensus? Yes? Okay.
Agreed.
I mean,
Everything else
And then in
stays?
2 years, we can see where we're at, and if we want
Yeah,
to bring it
yeah,
back,
let's
we can
come
always
back
bring
and
it
bring it
back.
back.
So, good,
Do-
good point.
Do you want to be specific on the California Avenue grade sep?
Yeah, going to the
I
tracks.
say yes on that one.
To leave it, Councilmember Ben?
Yes.
Leave it.
But
But we need to add it,
clarify.
like, design.
Have we done anything on
Oh.
that? And what's the first step?
Project initiation with Caltrans.
Do we want to do that in the next 3 years?
I have it tentatively on potential CIPs for this next coming fiscal year to
And-
give seed money to it.
And what is that? You said does initiate?
Project initiation.
Project initiation.
So I think that should be the goal on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, my comment with that too is if we end up having to lump things together for some federal grant money with us, with the county, for Broadway and Cabazon and the city of Banning for Hargrave, that maybe we have the opportunity to put in California in the future, for that, and we can bundle more together.
Okay, so with the developed California grade separation, project initiation would be what we're targeting?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Onward and upward.
Okay. Target 3, economic development downtown. So council did adopt the downtown revitalization plan. Develop a marketing plan. Do you want to leave that on or take it off?
I think the revitalization plan includes some of the marketing plan, but I don't know if we're just specific to that. This is economic development as a whole, but.
Do we have a marketing plan going already? I mean, basically for Beaumont Nights 2025?
Can you define what a marketing plan is again for me?
It was probably never defined.
And we need
No, it wasn't.
Well, that's why my question was, because I don't know, I can leave it on or off depending on what it is. So what was the intention? Was the intention to,
Promote the city, I think, was the
Promote the
intention.
I think it was the billboards,
Yeah,
the movie.
a lot of the
cigarettes.
PIOs.
So council adopted a
Yeah, I think. the
strategic communication plan.
Well, if we don't have a marketing plan yet, we should leave that on there
Okay.
then.
well, yeah.
Yeah, I think it should be left on too, and especially if we're, and I can't think of the name of the conference, is it ICE or something like that?
ICSC?
ICS, yeah, so that could be part, in the marketing plan, that could be one of those goals in there is to promote Beaumont by attending that and so forth. So I would say it should stay.
Okay. Consensus?
I think it's probably, yeah, it could stay.
Okay.
I'm not
Priority
gonna get into
priority
our
level 2 is fine?
Ongoing versus. not yet.
Develop a pedestrian-style downtown with shopping, restaurants, and parking. Develop a plan for city investment in land acquisition. Recruit and attract businesses, including an anchor tenant, downtown hotel, and medical providers. Update the city's economic development plan and revisit the city's municipal codes and zoning. I'm assuming that's zoning code. So we're currently doing a zoning code update that will be coming to council in a workshop in March.
On the second bullet point, develop a plan for city investment. I think the better goal would be city investment in land acquisition.
Yeah, I don't think develop a plan is.
Okay.
I think the goal should not be develop a plan, but the actual city investment in land acquisition. I think it makes sense to develop a pedestrian style downtown because you're trying to create something, right?
Does that go along with the downtown revitalization plan, though? Is that duplicative?
That would be part of the pedestrian style would be part of the traffic study that we're,
But the land acquisition wouldn't be limited to just downtown though, where something could come up in the, that we could use something else elsewhere, like near the water treatment facility and so forth, right?
Yeah, I agree. It
Yeah.
should be just city investment in land acquisition.
You good with that? Okay.
everything stays and that one change?
When did we update our economic development plan last?
Joel didn't do any of that when he was here?
Yeah, he started it. The last one was 2019.
Okay. Yeah, I think that still needs to stay.
Okay.
And don't we revisit the city's municipal codes and zoning every year? Is that a
Not,
goal?
No.
not the
Like
Coming up,
zoning.
though.
overarching.
Yeah,
That's coming up. We're gonna have a workshop.
There's a workshop on March 13th. 13th for the zoning code update, which is chapter 17. The municipal code, has multiple chapters, and what I recall the conversation being is looking at things, because this is economic development, your category, it was looking at things to help streamline. So we've made some tweaks to the municipal code and the zoning code.
But we should still revisit it this year.
Yes, yeah. The zoning code particularly, it's not done yet.
But the zoning code, we have a workshop scheduled for next month or March. right?
March 13th.
But, so would we break that out? Because zoning codes are gonna fall off, but we still need to revisit the municipal code. Do we want to separate those?
You
Or they one and the
can,
same?
and maybe clarify revisiting the municipal code, it's 17 chapters.
I think one of those would be housing, home occupation, or would
That's part of the zoning code,
that's 17 in the municipal code, right?
yeah.
Are there any other of those sections that would apply to businesses specifically within the downtown area? Is that,
In the code?
yeah, in the municipal code?
Chapter 5?
Well, I think that's a part of the goal would be to have staff go back and revisit.
There's a couple chapters, chapter 5 and chapter 8.
What did chapter 5 and 8 represent?
Chapter 5 is the business license section, if I recall correctly.
Chapter 8 is lighting. I know we're also looking at Chapter 16, which is subdivision, so there's some updates that might need to be done to help with the downtown as well, but there's different chapters. I know I've been working with wastewater with Kenyon and looking at potential changes to their section. I can't remember what chapter. Chapter 13 to address certain wastewater needs, so there's several chapters.
But the revisiting here of the zoning municipal code is related to downtown, correct?
It's specifically for economic development in downtown, yes.
Downtown.
Yeah,
Okay. Because the way it's categorized, it's under the downtown.
right.
Okay.
And I think there needs to be some cleanup of the language because the zoning code is a part of the municipal code.
Right.
They're not two separate documents.
So revisit the city's municipal codes related to the downtown.
Sure.
You get it more specific, is that what you're looking for?
Yes. If we put zoning in its own category, we can check that box by the end of this next fiscal year.
So revisit city municipal codes as they apply to downtown businesses? Would that be more specific, or?
I think so, because staff still has to do research to look through the code to see what else might pop up that, might apply. They're going on top of their head now, but, I want them to have a deep dive
Right.
and make sure that so we can discuss it all at once anyway. Yeah,
Get through chapters 1 through 4 this year, 4 through 8 next year.
who knows? I don't know.
Well, that's
Well,
kind
I
of what
don't
I'm
know
trying to
either.
get at.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm
So
saying,
is that
so-
something
I
you
mean, how do you
think
give structure? I don't know. Do we need to get in the weeds? I don't know.
we wanted an achievable target is what was looking for, but if we can just say revisit cities' municipal codes.
And that we might have valuable input from our economic development staff that come on board as we're going through our
Okay.
recruitment process.
So are we good with just revisiting the city's municipal codes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and then
Okay.
separating zones, right?
And, sorry,
And then separating the zone, putting the zone on its
you want the
own.
zoning code as its own?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we're gonna take it off in a couple of months,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
very low on my list. I don't know
Right.
if we even need it as a priority anymore.
I think it's already scheduled, so
Yeah.
to me, you just pull zoning off.
Okay.
I-
Consensus?
Yeah?
Yep.
That's
Okay.
it.
David, you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Carol.
Everything else stays as is?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Strengthen existing business relationships and promote events as part of economic development for the city.
Stay. Stay.
Same. Target 4, finances and resources. Conduct a traffic impact fee study. Develop a strategy for revenue development. Reevaluate the transit occupancy tax. Explore creating an EIFD. Explore creating an RBBD. And then your priority level 4 is revisit the city's debt policy in consideration of potential changes towards an intergenerational policy and consider needs for internal staff increases.
Explain priority level 4, bullet 1.
The way I understood it from the conversation was the debt policy, the intergenerational policy,
That's yeah, I didn't know what intergenerational meant.
oh, here comes Jennifer. You need a mic.
So it's
Nice try, buddy.
it's accounting speak.
If you have a really large cost for, say, infrastructure project and you decide to issue debt, then what it is you're having the people who are using that asset paying for the debt. So it's spreading out those costs rather than having your current residents paying for it all up front.
Do we have a policy relating to that currently?
We do not.
I know we don't
Everything's
like
good?
the idea of going into debt for anything, but do we keep that on the list?
So are we good? We've got the two that have dropped off. Want to leave the rest alone?
A strategy
Yeah.
for revenue development. Have we done anything towards that this year?
No, Jennifer and I are discussing consulting.
The last item, consider needs for internal staffing increases. Is that respected to the finance department, or should that, I mean, if we're gonna be picking that out of a list of priorities, then is that internal staffing throughout the city or specific to finances?
Finance.
It was specific to finance.
Okay, so we should designate that somehow, I think.
Don't you think that comes along with, I don't know, I'm going to speak for myself as a director or at a current director level. That's my responsibility as an employee. So does that need to be a goal of the governing board essentially? I mean, that's my responsibility as the director to say, hey, I need these things, then they bring it forward. Are we too in the weeds on that one? That it doesn't need to be a priority of ours? It needs to be a priority of the director level, but maybe not of ours.
But isn't that what we're doing when we're considering their need? Did they come to us and tell us we have a need for this?
But isn't that what we do during the budgeting process?
I think that's what the strategic planning is for.
Right, that's what, this will help build the budget.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it redundant because they already know that that's a priority, that they would be bringing those needs forward?
I think it is. I agree. I don't think that needs to be on there because, staff brings that to us when it comes to the budgeting. That's just, that's a part of working. I mean, that's not our priority to make sure, you know, this department
Specific
has more than the
department.
other.
Yeah, this specific department. I think if we wanted to make a target overall to look at staffing, I mean, I've heard Councilmember White say a million times, if you need a position, ask for a position, right? So, I mean, I think as an overarching goal, maybe not specific to finance.
Yeah, I'm okay dropping that.
Okay.
Bullet.
Okay, drop it. Okay, target 5, quality of life,
Sorry,
well-being.
Jennifer.
No, that doesn't mean don't bring it forward, right? That doesn't mean don't bring it forward. We're just not gonna prioritize it.
Create design guides, those are done, that should be crossed off.
Oh.
Create a parks master plan, including transition to drought tolerant landscaping. Complete improvements to existing parks, including ADA access, parking, lighting, et cetera. Increase community events, arts and culture. Complete Stewart Park improvements and complete sports park improvements.
The master plan for the parks is pretty much done, right?
It'll be coming to council May, Doug? In May. It'll go to the Parks and Rec Committee in April.
But I
But
think we
it's-
can drop that.
It's because it's done, right?
It's already to the point of, we don't need to tell you it's a priority, because
Okay.
it's already.
That comes off?
On the complete improvements to existing parks, including ADA access, parking, lighting, is that part of the parks master plan? Because it's not really specific there at that
You want to
point.
explain that, Doug?
That's probably just, that's actually doing the improvements, right?
Right, but it's not necessarily specific. How do we measure if we've completed improvements that we don't really have them identified?
It will be identified as they go through and rank the different assets and fixtures and items that we have at our different various parks. And so it'll give us a comprehensive list of what needs to be addressed or what are low-scoring amenities in our parks.
And then that would be included
So
in the
that could come
CIP.
off too.
Correct, and then that'll get rolled over to Robert's department for him to take care of and to be his sole responsibility.
That was all in one breath. I don't know, I would suggest
So
to
that's,
remove it.
that's a part of the master plan, right? So that
Correct.
could come off because it, okay.
Would be my suggestion.
So those first 3, design guidelines are done. And then
Right,
the second 2 will drop off.
okay.
So that leaves the increased community events, arts and culture, Stewart Park and Sports Park.
Okay.
And I think that, do we want to make it say Stewart Park completion, or, because it's in construction, like we've done with the infrastructure projects, do we want to follow something
Specific.
similar, is what I'm
So
proposing.
that's a great
Phase
point.
one, isn't phase one different from phase two anyway?
Yes.
Still, even though we have the funding, right?
So what, phase 1 completion,
Yeah.
do we expect that in the next 2 years?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
So what do we expect at the end of 2 years?
Phase 1 and phase 2 completion within the
I would
next 2
say
years?
phase 1 and phase 2. Mhm.
Okay,
Assuming we get the
So
grant.
just leave it there then.
yeah.
Yeah, I think still leave it, but keep it to, put in parentheses where we want to get it to, so to completion. And then sports park improvements. Where do we want to do with that?
Well, it depends on what's coming forth.
Are the soccer fields separate from
Yeah,
the
that's-
others?
That one is still coming.
Yes.
I mean, we haven't started the bid or the construction award or anything for that part. Started the bid process, but not the construction award process like we are in Stewart Park.
So where do you think we'll be in 2 years?
Completing that project, it will be done in 2 years.
So, okay to put completion
Yes.
in
So
parentheses.
do we want to put sports park,
Yeah,
the turf and lights, or are there other, or does it matter? Just leave it as sports park completion? Is that easier?
The CIP project is the turf and the lights. It's included in one
Okay.
project.
So
Do you want to,
So you could, I think,
Clarify that?
clarify it as turf/lights, don't you think? That way it's more specific for the public.
wasn't there a fence that we talked about on that, or no?
I think
It's
that's
part
part
of
of
the
the
There is
turf.
part of it is part of the turf project. There's a
Okay,
fence
so the
around it.
turf
yeah.
to
project.
protect the asset.
Yeah.
Okay, so the turf. So we're
So
leaving that.
fencing, synthetic turf and
Synthetic turf
sport lighting.
and lighting, yes, correct.
And then it would say Stewart Park Phase 1/Phase 2 completion.
Yes,
It's easier to speak, I think, to it too.
I like that.
Now, real quickly on the, going back, Doug, to the third bullet where we talked about taking off the improvement to existing parks. Those recommendations are coming from the master plan, correct?
Yes, correct.
So we haven't done those yet. The master plan is giving us,
A to-do list,
giving us, you know.
a priority
suggestions.
list, yes. Mhm.
So we can't take that off yet if we haven't done it. So, because if they come out and say it's gonna cost X amount of dollars for something, then we have to prioritize whether we're gonna use that as a part of the budget or we're gonna move it somewhere else.
Is it already funded?
Not the improvements.
No, not the
No,
improvement.
but I think that those CIPs would have to be created. So maybe implementation of the Parks Master Plan might be the goal.
Right, yeah.
That would
That's
be
what I'm saying.
essentially
So we
the
don't wanna
goal.
take it
Instead of
off
removing
yet.
it, it would be
Yeah.
implementation.
There'll be action steps and there'll be recommendations and there'll be a list of recommended CIP projects that'll come from the master plan.
It needs to stay, but it needs to go with that wording.
Maybe say
Okay.
implementation of Parks Master.
Or implementation of the, yeah, recommendation.
Or,
Of master
I don't want to say
plan.
implementation of recommendation. It sounds like you're singing a song or something, but yeah,
Implementation, recommendation.
recommendations.
Are we good?
trying to think of
I'm
what was
good.
the other word we used.
Yeah.
David goes.
You good, David?
Yes.
Okay,
Forgive
last
me.
slide. Develop plan for litter cleanup throughout the city, complete Nicholas Park improvements, and plan for the addition of more sports fields and open space through land acquisition.
No, I'm good with those.
Good with those, David?
Yes.
Sorry, good with
Can
those,
we,
David?
can we get an update with where we are at with the Nicholas Park improvements?
Absolutely.
Sorry. It's gonna help me prioritize.
No, that's perfectly fine.
You didn't watch the.
Is Robert gonna give us that
Parks and
update, or-
Rec meeting on YouTube?
Yes.
His anyway.
Robert has a
I sure did,
PowerPoint.
right over.
Yes. Councilmember White's correct. So at the Parks and Rec Committee meeting on Monday, we gave an update on where we are. So we concluded all of the community outreach and presented a concept plan and have moved forward to the 30% design phase. So we just completed the 30% drawings and cost estimates for that project.
So in 2 years, where do you think we can be?
We will be looking for funding to complete the project. 'Cause
So
the
design complete is probably.
design complete would probably be
Be the target.
the target.
Nicholas Park improvement design complete.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's a combo project with Nicholas Park and Palmer together.
Oh, yeah.
So we should include Palmer as well?
Yeah, we better, because
Yeah,
Just add Palmer as well.
yeah,
So it's
Nicholas /
Complete
Palmer
Nicholas-
Park improvements.
Nicholas/Palmer Park improvements,
yes.
or design of yeah.
And then design.
Complete the,
Complete.
yeah,
Design.
parentheses is the completion of design.
You get that okay, Shannon?
Yes.
Plan for the addition of more
We had-
sports
we had a
fields
couple
and open
additions, but it worked out
space
okay.
Through land acquisition.
You could just send them a link to the meeting.
No problem.
Is the Parks Master Plan, this probably was discussed during the meeting
It
as
was.
well.
It was,
But
that was added to.
in the Parks Master Plan, did they identify land that we could acquire?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay. So it's
No.
still, I'm just trying to figure out how we can make that achievable.
This is just gonna be design.
it's going to
No, I'm talking about
identify,
priority number 4, where it says plan for the addition of more sports fields and open space
Correct.
through land acquisition. So
Well,
I'm
we
trying to
have that.
think, I'm trying to remove things. So is that part of our Parks Master Plan, I guess is the question I'm asking.
Not part of the plan, but I think we still want to focus on
Land acquisition,
acquiring
that's our,
additional park
okay,
projects maybe from development.
okay.
it's going to show a deficit. It'll show how much fields or how much space or where the holes may be in our complete system, park system. And so it won't be specific like by the 5 acres here, but it'll say
Right.
need an additional X amount of acres for these amenities.
So maybe it should just be parks, land acquisition
Mhm.
is our goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was wondering what it said, why did.
Plan for the addition of more sports fields and open space through land acquisition. So just parks land acquisition would be our goal.
I think the first part of that bullet is part of the master.
Master plan, that's right.
Yeah, I think just open
Just
space.
Open space land acquisition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Shannon?
We good with that?
Okay.
David? Councilmember
Yes.
Finn, excuse me.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
We're taking
All
a
right.
couple of
We're through all of the goals from 2023. Now we're going to start the new goals. So this is firing bullets. Shannon and Julie will tag team. Anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to see as a potential goal?
The, I'm not sure what we're calling it, the study for the Beaumont benefit planning area, is that what we're calling it?
Are you talking about the
The
Potrero
fair,
extension?
fair and Paris
Yeah.
study.
Potrero extension.
Yeah, is that what we're calling it? Yeah.
Potrero extension benefit area.
So that sort of is under the, either the EIFD or the road and bridge?
I think we need to look at like I know we have an emergency management plan already, but looking at expansion of that emergency management plan or whether or not that's a department, something along those lines, especially with recent issues.
I've got a couple things if I can throw some out there. First one is questions. Is First Street widening and 8th Street widening, are those on our CIP already?
The feasibility study is, and once we get the results, they'll indicate what CIPs should be developed on that.
And that's for
based on
both
those.
First and Eighth?
Yeah, First and Eighth.
Okay.
8th Street is sidewalk, First Street is the actual widening of First Street from.
Okay. So I'd like to put First Street widening on there.
Okay.
And then Beaumont Avenue and the I-10 interchange.
Can we, on that one, I was thinking about that too, David. On that one, is there a way we can break out a benchmark on that one?
Like
Oh,
project
certainly.
initiation or?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Or
exactly.
getting starting to ask for funding or whatever the
So
first.
project
What do you
initiation, I think
recommend,
is a nice
Robert?
way to call it.
So RCTC has kicked off that project. We're
Okay.
in the PID phase of it. So I think completing that would be a great milestone to consider.
And PID is?
The project initiation,
Okay.
it's asking permission for Caltrans to have the project.
So complete project initiation of the Beaumont Avenue interchange.
All right, and
Would it be,
looking at it, all right, it says you have Beaumont Avenue widening, it would be Beaumont Avenue and I-10 interchange
Oh, yeah.
on Julie's side.
Yeah, not widening. And it would be more specific, Julie, to
Yeah, there you go.
project
Just like that.
initiation,
Okay.
completion. There you go.
And then, while I've got the floor, a new community center. And then get our Biz Hub open. And I'm good for the moment.
We have Oak Valley interchange on there. We didn't kind of specify that, but maybe we need to look at,
Here, do you want to
Breakout.
put the?
yeah, I
phases?
think we need to break it out, because the widening, Oak Valley Parkway widening, especially around the interchange is, we need to, is that two separate projects? Yeah, so we probably need to add the widening project.
Would that just be
Do you wanna
design
Go back
or?
and be specific on this. Is it PID or where are we at with? Sorry.
for the Oak Valley interchange, we are in the PAED, which is preliminary engineering. We're trying to identify what the interchange will look like to move into final engineering. So PAED phase,
Will that be completed in 2 years?
yes.
So we need to put complete
Well-
PAED.
When I brought it to council, I said 3 years, so I'd like to maintain that.
I've made note.
So question on that, so why is the widening separate from that study or that focus?
Yeah, so the widening is part of a settlement agreement with WRCOG as we re-entered a member agency. And it is off the Caltrans system, so it is exclusively within the city.
Okay.
So it doesn't include the bridge?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the portion from the bridge west to New Desert Lawn.
So that widening becomes Beaumont lead, I guess you can say, kind of, we're in charge of that, just design, taking the lead on that.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, now can that be concurrent? Well, I guess it couldn't be concurrent with the interchange.
No, the time expectation for the widening is immediate,
Yes.
as soon as possible. The interchange, like I mentioned when we brought it a few months back, is 10 to 15 years.
Okay,
We may still be alive for that one.
okay. I just hate doing one thing and not another, and then having to come back and tear it all up and do something else again.
I think the widening, well, we can talk about priorities later, but.
Yeah. So that widening, then we did separate it, right?
The widening's
Oh,
over here.
it's over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Deliver recycled water.
To who? No, I'm just kidding.
Make sure you put delivery.
But you mean like actually getting it in a pump and it being somewhere?
Yes.
We can do that in 2 years?
Do you,
Yes.
Yeah, 2 to
Okay.
3 years.
I'm hopeful.
Okay.
What's it say?
Recycled water.
Recycled water.
Yeah, just put deliver.
The target was the goal was deploy recycled water.
Oh, did say deploy recycled water?
Okay.
Well, delivery can be there and that would include any infrastructure needed to deploy, perhaps? All of that's kind of understood?
Well, that's a good question. I think Mayor Pro Tem touched on that too. So would that be design? Would that be PAED and the PID ASAP?
I'm sorry, for which project?
The
was that?
wastewater treat, with the
Recycled
recycled water.
Recycled water.
Oh, I think we're not even close to the PAED or PID phase.
So what do we want?
A lot of it depends on
Right.
BCV, WD, and SGPAW.
I'm gonna LOSE in my mind.
We'll keep that on the QT then.
Or the DL.
How about our permit approval?
There you go.
Should we get
That's what I
that
was
in 2
wondering.
years?
Can we
I
at
like
least,
that.
yeah, get it?
There we go.
All right.
Good pull.
So change of use permit approval.
Separate from recycled water delivery.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
think we're gonna do that in 2 or 3 years.
Right,
Okay.
right. Good
Well,
job.
we gotta talk about it, but yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is the concept, could we leave recycled water there and put to permit versus having two separate
That's fine.
entities?
That's good.
That's all I
That'd be
I
the
was
phase.
just-
That would be
yeah.
the phase that we want.
Correct.
Okay.
To go along with
So-
what we have.
Recycled water.
So remove it off of there, remove change of use permit up there, yeah,
No, wait a minute.
Shannon. And then over here
No.
under recycle water, put
Hold it.
permit, right?
No.
No.
Okay, never mind.
They're two different.
Yeah, they're two
So
different.
Okay.
it would be recycled water.
Well, it's already there. That's what we're saying. It's
Well,
on-
this would be the permit though, right?
The permit's a separate.
It's
Yeah, you want to
separate.
call it the change of use permit.
But don't you have to have that before you can get that?
Yeah.
So isn't it the
Yeah.
same concept?
No, because they're two different.
But in order to get to the end, you have to start with the one.
Yeah, but there may be an argument to make that you don't have to wait until you get the permit to start with the other one.
Got it.
We haven't made that argument
But
yet.
we'll- So they'll both be there.
It can be concurrent perhaps, so we don't know that yet.
I'm trying to figure out how to prioritize in my mind.
Well, it'd be a package.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
That's what I'm wondering. Well, I mean, so she does make sense. I mean, you wouldn't want them separate. You might want them as a package, recycled water and that. I don't know. I know you're talking about the sticker thing, so I'm not sure. Maybe we get them all
That's
again.
gonna cost you 2 stickers.
It is gonna cost me 2 stickers. You guys, I'm trying to whittle us down here.
Well, you're putting them all for monuments anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so.
Anything else?
Recycled water, we're changing that. That gets done, recycled water still stays though, as a part of that one there. Right?
That was my
So you
thoughts.
can do 1 sticker.
Yeah. It's fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think we're still gonna end up with parking lots. I mean, the projects aren't going away, right? This is good. We have a good problem to have. It's called job security. I think we probably need to throw out Danny Thomas Ranch again. Councilmember White's gonna kill me on this one.
That'd be
You
under
wanna
open
have that on
spaces.
as a-
I think that we need to think, I guess it can go along the lines with my emergency management plan, but, you know, I think our goal is looking at, how do we become a destination? Well, regionally, is this an asset that becomes a destination? Is there something that the city can do to help encourage that?
It could fall under acquisition of open space.
Wasn't gonna say it.
I think it's
I think
it's
so.
a black hole if we're
I
thinking
think-
it's
Yeah,
park
I-
district.
I agree.
I think we've gotten the message it's not a park district joint effort priority.
I think there could be potential partnership there. If you're looking at some type of emergency operation or captivating on current circumstances, but I'm not sure what that looks like, but I think it would be something that we can throw on the white paper.
You want to put it on there?
Could fall under land acquisition. We can think about that.
So to clarify, land, where is it at? Open space land acquisition, do you want to add, including Danny Thomas Ranch?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
I think we can leave it under maybe emergency management plan. That's fine.
You'll get more votes if you leave it off.
I think we should just leave it off.
We can leave it like that. It's fine.
I think we're covered pretty good.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay, Mayor, can we take
David? I'm sorry, Councilmember Finn, excuse me.
I didn't have any more ads. I'm good.
Councilmember White, you good?
I'm good.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyd?
I'm good.
Councilman Martinez?
Yes, I think we're good.
We're good?
Mayor, can we take a break?
No, I want to hammer this out. Yeah, take a break. Take a 10-minute recess. Okay, and we are back for the next phase of this strategic plan.
I could never be.
Here's what we're going to do, and I think we should start with Councilmember Finn since he's
Who's on?
video, yeah. What I'd like to do is from here down are all of the goals that you just brainstormed. It includes old and new. So when you're looking at potential goals, you need to look at everything here. Don't worry about the targets,
Okay.
just look at everything here. That's your pool of goals. Does that make sense? Deck of cards. What I'd like to do is ask each council member to give us their 5. Doesn't have to be in order right now. Just give us your 5.
That's what
And you'd like me to go first?
Well, I need to clarify what give us your 5 means. So is that, that's a priority, or is those are the things that we want to make sure that we are going to focus on, and then we'll talk about, clarify, just what give us
Okay.
your 5 means.
So think if you had dots in your hand and you walked up and you were putting dots. I'd really like to only, and council tell me this, I would prefer that each council member get 3, but I did hear earlier that 5 is more realistic for each council member. This is just your initial. This is not your, here's my 5 priorities. These are, I want to see these 5.
Okay. so
Think
that's
if
my-
you had a dot in your hand.
That's my question. So these are the I want to see these, and then ranking them out of my 5 is not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, I like 5s.
The next step is going to be, so once we circle each council members, then council's only going to focus on the circles. So, for example, if this one isn't circled, it's not gonna be in the forced ranking. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions thus far? After we get through the circles, then you're going to look at only those that are circled, and you are going to rank them in order of priority 1 to 5. And you can consider other circles, not just your own.
Okay, so if we were to rank, let's just say we ranked 1 through 5. And so that the ranking is going to be how they,
After the circles.
after the circles, and that'll prioritize them on the list.
Yes, yeah.
'Cause
Is it realistic to ask council to only pick 3 each?
I don't know. I think 5 better, but.
Okay. Because just keep in
'Cause you're gonna
mind,
get
5 is
25.
gonna give me 25 priorities.
That's assuming that none of us have the same.
Correct.
ones that we talked
I'm going off history.
about. Well, right, but when we did that, we saw who was putting up what dots, and we said, okay, well, I gotta make sure my project gets.
Mhm.
And
So, if we write them down, we may all be sort of the same project.
Okay, we can do it that way.
Maybe we should write down our 5 first.
Okay,
Before we expose ourselves.
okay.
What do you think, Mayor?
Yeah, definitely don't want to expose ourselves at this point.
Okay.
Does that make
So-
sense, David?
Yeah,
Since you're
somewhat,
going to
but I-
write them down, why don't you write them down in order of priority, and we'll just cut to the force ranking?
There you go. I
That's
like
fine.
that.
That's fine.
Did you hear that, Finn? Councilmember Finn?
Yeah, okay, so give me a second. I've got my 5, I just need to put them in order of priority.
Okay.
Oh, man, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's cheating over there.
Don't worry, I'm not looking.
Now I feel like everybody's waiting on me.
I only have 2 written down.
All right. Because I thought I had 5, but I'm looking at my list and it's 4.
What are you looking for?
These Ross's, he's looking at it on the screen.
Oh,
Just hold it right there, Ross.
don't move.
Sorry.
Okay, I think I'm ready to give my 5. Somebody ready to take notes?
Not yet.
Okay.
That's where I'm running into a problem.
Councilmember Finn, you have your 5?
Yeah,
Okay.
all right,
Good.
So-
We're waiting on one more.
okay.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay. We are ready.
Okay, and we want an order of priority?
Yeah, so-
Yes, with 1 being your highest priority.
So hang on one second. Well, let me, somebody writing this down or,
Nicole's going to.
okay. Are you ready for the first one?
Do you want to put that on the screen?
All right, so I can see that camera angle pretty well and read those, so that's nice, so thank you for doing that.
Sorry, I'm in the way.
Oh, no, you're fine, I can see right up, it's over your head. All right,
The one
So do
is the
I-
high
sorry,
and not
do I go ahead, or-
5, right?
Either way. Do you want to do 5 as the highest? Okay. Councilmember Finn, you're going to do 5 as your highest priority. 4 is your second highest priority. So 1 would be your least.
let me correct these real
I
quick.
should have
Okay.
kept my mouth shut. I liked it the other way.
Yeah, no,
But
do
we had the
priority
same,
one.
we had the same argument with committees and I lost. So I still think your top choice should be a 1.
Oh,
And then the
that's how we
lowest
had it.
score is the.
Actually, that won't work here because if I don't mention it, then it's a 0, and I'm not saying it's my highest category. So you're right. We should be doing 5 as the highest.
5 is the highest. Okay.
5 is the
I
highest.
think the committee assignments are a little bit different.
So are we good with 5 as the highest, and we're going to freeze it there, and that's what we're sticking with? All right. So now my 5 is 1. Where's the 2?
We're all ready?
Okay,
Are you ready? Councilmember Finn?
okay. So number 5 is First Street widening. Or, or number 1, yeah.
That's your highest priority, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Second is Pennsylvania grade separation.
4,
Police station. No, I'm sorry. Okay, I messed up. I'm reading this backwards. My bad. Okay. My second one with the 4 is recruit and attract businesses. That was listed as recruit and attract businesses, including anchor tenant, downtown hotel, and medical providers, blah, blah, So recruit and attract.
is recruit and attract is your number 4?
That is, yeah, I'm sorry. So that, all right.
That should have 2 points.
That is worth 4
be a
points
4.
on recruit and attract.
Okay. And your
Okay.
3?
Police station is 3.
Okay.
Pennsylvania grade sep is 2. And community center is 1.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready for the next one. You good?
Yep.
Councilmember White?
5 is Potrero Benefit Area. 4 is the Road and Bridge Development District. 3 is Second Street Extension. Is my 4. And then my third is
Putting them
Second
in the wrong
Street
column.
Extension.
Okay.
And then expand the PD. And the sports park is my 5th choice, my number 1, my 1 ranking. Sports park is my 1. And my 2 is expand the PD, or PD station. My
So
3 is Second
Second
Street
Street.
Extension.
Councilmember Martin, or just go this way. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem Boyd?
Okay, Oak Valley Parkway widening, but I think that needs to say east on it.
East or west?
East, I think that Robert was talking about west. I'm talking about from the 10
Towards Beaumont Avenue?
towards Beaumont Avenue.
Okay.
That's going to be 5. Recycled water change of permit. 4. Sports park,
Yeah,
3.
we'll get it figured out.
Stewart Park, 2. Second Street Extension, 1.
You ready? Councilman Martinez?
Yeah, let's see if this comes out right. So I did Pennsylvania grade shovel ready 5, complete sports park 4. I did Stewart Park 3. The Oak Valley widening, that was the bridge, right? On the freeway?
No.
No? Okay, then that was, so then I did number 2 for implement Parks Master Plan, and then 1 expand PD.
Ready? Okay. Pen grade shovel ready is 5. Expansion PD police station 4.
Should we change?
So Chief, we only have one council
Enough, enough. I knew that was going to get highlighted.
Stewart Park 3. New Community Center 2. And Oak Valley East 1. What?
Everybody's all over the
Well,
place.
we're not done talking yet. Got your peaches before they're fuzzed up good, so.
Like I said, some of this is ongoing, so I don't.
Well, that's clarification I want to get to.
Let's list them on here. And if you want to reorder them.
So are we taking the top 10 or top 5, or what are we taking from there? All 14? 13?
We could do all of them. I'd just like to put them in order so everybody sees.
Okay. The question that we have is, there may be some that are not on this list that are currently funded and underway. What happens to those?
The projects continue. We're not going to stop a project if it's underway. It just, so
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying.
Go ahead, I'm
this,
sorry.
this comes into play when you have 2 competing
Okay,
grants, federal funding, things like that. We don't want to have our internal projects competing with each other when we go out to grants.
okay,
That's the biggest reason for the priority.
okay.
And with that, I just want to clarify for the public, because when you say this is your priority, it sends a message connotation that this is where your focus is, and your focus isn't anywhere else. Well, you know, for me, I have one focus was on pretty much, traffic, and the other 3 or 4 aren't. So that's not sending a message that my focus isn't on traffic. It's just for this workshop and for your budget, allocation and stuff, that's what this priority is for. I just want to make sure, because when you say, what is your ranking, the public can get a misconception of what we're talking about. So I just you clarified right now why we do that for like granting and competing stuff. But I want to make it clear that if we have, how many do we have on there? 30, 40?
Yeah, probably 40.
All right, so out of that, we have to rank our top 5 that we would like to see for the next 2 or 3 years. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that when someone's yelling at me, why didn't I pick this as my top priority? I can let them know, why I went these 5 and not one of the other ones.
And my response to that would be, something has to be a priority. You can't, it's impossible to have 45 balls in the air. Something has to be the focus, has to be the priority. What I want to get to is there's a couple that are, have the same rank, total. So this is where the discussion comes in. Council has to pick. Let's start with, what's wrong?
Highlight G. Just highlight the column G and then sort it. Well, you gotta highlight one, hit filter, and then.
So, Sports Park, Stewart Park?
I think because the discussion that Mike and Julio just had, we should pull those off because they're gonna get done anyways, because we're so far along on those.
Well, that was the hard part for me.
And that's why, and sorry to jump in, but that's why I chose what I chose, because I figured some of these projects are so far along and funded. My focus was on other stuff now.
Yeah, but the discussion was had that if we go out on some of these, so like for the grade sub, right, and it wasn't a priority of the council, that could jeopardize funding. Isn't that what I heard?
I think Stewart Park and Sports Park has their funding.
Checked off.
Yeah, I think they both have funding on those.
Sports Park fully funded?
Well, the grant was supposed to make.
Sports Park is not fully funded. We don't know yet. There's money programmed, but until it goes to bid, we don't know
So
what
take
the...
Stewart Park off and then probably Second Street too?
Well, Stewart Park's Phase 2 is dependent upon the grant.
Second Street's funded.
That's depending on the grant as well.
Well, there's still priorities and you're right, so we should keep them.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the hard part.
Well, that's what I was saying.
And that's why I didn't, in all honesty, I would have put the PD, but I didn't put that because I don't think it's gonna be in the next 2 years.
It's too late.
Don't throw me under the bus anymore.
What I say about public perception, you're too late.
It's that police fire thing, you know. We need to get them on the softball field, Chief.
That's right, we were talking about that earlier.
So what do we want to do with the Sports Park and Stewart Park? Take Stewart off?
I think we need to leave them until they're
Can you
done, right?
combine them, put them together? Is that,
We
I
had
think
them
you could
together
change Stewart
originally
Park to
in-
Phase 2. I was
Well,
thinking it was
that's-
Phase 1.
is that too hard for setting a goal on the
That-
needs of the two
I
are
like
so
that.
different that they have to be separated?
They're different, yeah. And they're in different phases of,
So on Stewart Park, let's make that Phase 2, because Phase 1 is fully funded and under construction.
okay?
Thanks. The other thing too is, as these projects come off the list, when they're they're fully funded, they're out to bid, they're under construction, then you can come back to council and have us prioritize another project to fill that slot.
Correct. Correct, yeah. So
Another 3-hour meeting?
going back to the Sports Park and Stewart Park, one of those has to be higher than the other. Which one do you?
Aren't we gonna vote on these 14?
We just did.
But
That was-
I thought we were all gonna pick our top 5, and then we, out of the universe of items we picked, the 14, we would then again all vote on the 14.
Well, that's why we ranked them this way, because then you got.
We did the 2 steps in one.
We did it.
Yeah, Because that's how we got the numbers to get this prioritization.
So we could try to beat the 8 o'clock time. So these are all projects that made the list.
She just wants to know.
She wants to know is
Stewart Park and
above
Sports Park.
Quick question, the sports park, is that funded or not? Fully funded?
No. Well, we don't know until it goes out to bid. There's money programmed, we have a cost estimate, but until we go out to bid and the bids come in, we don't know if it's fully funded.
Which is closer to
We
bid?
think we're close.
Sports Park is closer
Sports
to
Park is
bid.
closer than phase 2 of Stewart.
So if the bid.
That would be the priority, is which one's closer to bid.
Higher priority.
For me?
Yes, I'd put Sports Park
So
number
would I.
3.
I think
Yeah,
that's
because
what
I think that'll happen sooner.
I think it's.
I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
Sports Park is higher, in my opinion, than Stewart Park Phase 2.
Okay,
That's
so,
my opinion.
But our question to Doug was which one's
I agree
closer
with
to
you.
going out? Because that makes our decision. If one's closer, then that's prior priority, obviously. So is Sports Park closer
He's like,
than
"This is
phase
complex."
2?
This is very complex
Of Stewart.
because, I mean, we have the grant, we have that grant discussion with the federal
Right.
grant for phase 2. The federal grant is for Stewart Park phase 2, correct. And
But does Sports Park have any grants attached
No.
to it?
Sports Park does not have any grants
And it's
attached to
fully
it.
funded until we go out to bid.
It's significantly funded. We're assuming, or projections are that it should be enough, but
And it's closer to coming to fruition than Stewart Park is. Than that.
Closer to bid than Stewart Park right now.
yes.
The Stewart one, okay, well, Sports Park.
Stewart 1's already out to bid and in construction.
Right.
Stewart 2, we're still working through the federal grant process
Yeah.
and some other things.
So I say we do Sports Park and then
Stewart.
Stewart Park.
I agree.
Okay, we have consensus.
Agree?
Councilmember Finn saying yes. So we're-
okay. So then let's jump down to First Street widening and Potrero Potrero extension benefit.
So if I can jump in and give my argument on that, is that's to help the traffic flow getting to Pennsylvania. So when we have that grade separation done, traffic coming up out of Hemet and San Jacinto would flow a lot easier going down First Street to Pennsylvania.
So my argument for Potrero benefit is that we are accepting more and more projects that we're not, if we don't get the Potrero benefit study and then a determination of what we're going to charge, that that's a higher priority because we need to, I mean, that'll help. That'll help
okay.
transportation much more than widening First Street, is to create a funding source for all the big projects.
And I would, thinking and based on what you just said, the benefit could also provide funding for First Street widening potentially.
Yeah, I'm surprised I was the only one who put the Potrero benefit.
Yeah.
I agree with Lloyd. Let's put that over First Street.
Okay, now we have 4 with a score of 4.
I would make the same argument for Road and Bridge, but because we may not be able to do both, but if we get either one of those things accomplished.
Okay. And my argument with recruit and attract, that was from the public survey on needing more places to go and do things, eating and dining and shopping and so forth.
But I think the transportation infrastructure was the top.
Understood.
I think there's some clarification needed on the Potrero benefit,
Okay.
Potrero extension benefit area. That is just the study, like the nexus study in the diff. The road and bridge could be associated with that, the next step for that. Or road and bridge could be a wider, more of a citywide approach.
My perception in the past, Councilmember White, is that you've been looking for, with Road and Bridge, for it to be more citywide. or any new development coming in.
I'm looking at either one of those as a good thing. I think
Right.
portrayal benefit is a better thing because we can hold, if we do it in time, we can hold those big development projects coming in.
Well, that's
hold them
already,
accountable.
that's already higher. So
Right, but
that's gonna stay
Robert was
there.
making the argument that that's just the study, or suggestion that that was the study. I'm saying that's getting that done all the way from study. We should be able to do it in 2 years. Get a study, get it in front of us, come up with some numbers and start employing that in the development agreements.
But Second Street, that's the punch through, right? That's getting ready to go to bid, pending the funding. Wouldn't that be the highest priority since it's closest to bid? If we had to rank those?
Not in my mind, but,
Well,
because my thought is Second Street's a lot further along, it's gonna get done, and it doesn't really have a time element as the portrayal benefit or the road and bridge. Again, I put them both thinking that someone else would go with one.
Well, but that goes back to the argument about then, if it's already in progress, then we prioritize it, so we lost priority on something else because it's already.
But the
going.
study will be done in 3-4 months?
Study, we're back to the portrayal?
Yeah.
No, I agree on that. I was commenting on the Second Street. Having
Oh.
a priority since it's already going through.
Right.
Which would be the same for a recycled water permit, or no? Because that one's already in the works.
That was hard. That was the hard part of determining on there
Well,
because they're already in the
I don't
works.
think do we really need to break the tie that low at 4?
So staff has direction on what
Yeah, they wanna,
which is the priority.
well, we can rank them. I think we can rank them.
So what if we do, I'm
Mine
just
would-
throwing it out here, Second Street, recycle water, Potrero Bridge, and then, I'm
You mean
sorry,
road and
Potrero
bridge?
benefit, and then,
Well,
no,
we're-
I'm sorry,
Road and Bridge.
road and bridge. And then attract and recruit.
We can all re-vote on the 4s.
Well, that's what we're doing. We're coming to a consensus without voting, but we can vote.
So do we have another,
I'm okay with what the mayor suggested.
Say it one more time.
so Second Street, recycled water permit, road and
Road.
bridge,
And recruit and
and
attract.
recruit and attract.
I'm good with that order.
I'm okay with that.
Have consensus on that.
Okay, you're done.
All right.
So the next steps, I will bring back this whole process formalized and then the action plans that accompany these. We will document all of this so that they will still be part of the document, but this is the priority. Any questions? No?
I think maybe I'm going back to the ongoing ones. You guys will bring that back as like priority ongoing?
They won't be priority. None of this,
Okay.
unless it's on the spreadsheet, none of this will use the word priority.
Okay. So, but under the targets, then you will just have them listed? Because you're still going to use the targets.
We're going to take the 14 and we're going to put them under the targets. And
Okay.
those are going to be your priorities.
Our new
These are going to
targets.
be important. And they'll
Okay.
be part of the document, but they will not be under the targets.
Okay, but they'll be on the document.
You have recreated your.
Right.
So it'd be on a document, and then as the priorities get completed and drop off, we'll have the opportunity to bring those that are still on the document and up to the priority.
Does that make sense? Some of the
Instead
things.
45 priority goals, we have 14
Correct,
or 13.
correct.
I'm just making sure that the concerns of the other council members weren't lost and that they would still
No,
be
and the-
within the document as, so that that's understood.
So, and part of these, I think, should be rolled into a policy. The ongoing ones can be a policy that council adopts so that future staff understands, communicate with your neighbors, peer-to-peer networks, things like that. Then we don't have to worry about them. They become inherently a priority.
We all good?
I think so. I think so.
Okay, so, so I will, if we're all good, then I will conclude the workshop at 8:20, and I will now call to order the closed session meeting. So we,
You just want to read it? I don't have an agenda in front of me.
okay, closed session items are conference with real property negotiator pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, property 41, APN 417-063-022 and 417-063-003. Agency negotiator, city manager Elizabeth Gibbs or designee. Negotiating parties, city of Beaumont as potential purchaser and extra under negotiation price and terms. Item F2, conference with real property negotiator pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, property APN 417-100-027-028-29-30-031-032-033-034-035-036 and 046. Agency negotiator, city manager Elizabeth Gibbs or designee. Negotiating parties, city of Beaumont as potential purchaser. And with that, we will adjourn to closed session at 8:21.
What about 037?
Did I miss?
No.
You're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. Okay, coming back out of closed session, no reportable action, and I will adjourn closed session at 8:36.